right, no more music. A good thing for people that hate my soundtrack. For the waiting room. A lot of Epstein stuff happening. It's starting to grow on me. I'd been like not feeling any of the Epstein stuff, but watching Maga like twist themselves into knots and actually seeing some pushback from the base on Trump over this stupid shit. Actually kind of funny. I needed more take. Yeah, that's happening tonight. Just press play episode. You know, I don't know. I don't know what episode it is. Pisco said Anna wasn't in. Yes, she is. She is in the newest episode. Pisco's a liar. Come on. Her take. She's right there. Oh, wait. Hold on. Maybe this isn't the right one. Why is this doing this to me? I know there's a new one. This. No, she's in it. She's in it. Why did Pisco lie? He just hates you guys. Maybe he didn't lie. He just misheard. No, he lied. I'm sure he lied. It's Pisco. I think the client list is really the only thing Maga had criticisms with the administration on so far, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but they're like not, they're only going to have more criticisms grow because they're not, I don't think anybody's, sorry, I just totally got distracted. I lost my train of thought. They're not letting this go because you have Pam, like now there's a lot of people that want Pam Bondi gone and Trump is like defending her. And so they have to either, all these influencers have to either decide, are they going to stand with Trump or are they going to stand against the deep state? Because they're also like QAnon people. Okay. I want to start with checking out what happened here. So there was a vote apparently where, what is it? No. Not this. I knew I should have gone with the Axios one. Hold on. Yeah, they blocked the release of files. This was 18 hours ago. House GOP blocks Dem maneuver to force release of Epstein files. Dude, why is this happening? Since when does fucking Axios have a paywall? And this is probably too new for there to even be like a archive. Pre-watched. No, I clicked it yesterday. I sure actually didn't pre-watch it, but I clicked it yesterday and I remembered that she was there. What does angry love mean? Exactly what it says. Dude, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Please let me in. Okay. Okay, there we go. House GOP blocks Dem maneuver to force release of Epstein files. House Republicans on Monday night voted against attaching a Democratic amendment to landmark cryptocurrency legislation that would force the Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. Why it matters? It's the outcome Democrats anticipated, and one they plan to gleefully cite as President Trump continues to grapple with the MAGA fallout of the DOJ's handling of the documents. The question with Epstein is, whose side are you on? Representative Ro Khanna, the author of the Epstein measure, told Axios ahead of the vote. Are you on the side of the rich and the powerful, or are you on the side of the people? He said, promising to introduce the amendment again and again and again. The House Rules Committee, which prepares legislation for votes on the House floor, voted 5-6 against attaching Khanna's amendment to a procedural measure related to the Genius Act and a defense funding bill. The measure would have forced Attorney General Pam Bondi to publish all docs related to Epstein on a, quote, publicly accessible website within 30 days of procedural measure being enacted. Republicans said the amendment was not pertinent to the Genius Act. Oh, okay, that's why, you guys. They would really love to do it. And surely they're going to, introduce another bill so that they can do this, right? Because this is a thing they definitely want to do. But it wouldn't be appropriate to attach it to this bill, which is just a defense spending bill, so it's unrelated. It's amazing. Let's see. Which it would create the first regulatory framework for stablecoins or the defense funding bill. Yes, but in a rare move, Representative Ralph Northam, Republican from South Carolina, crossed over and voted with the panel's 4 Democrats in favor of attaching in the amendment. He told Axios earlier on Monday, the public's been asking for it. I think there are files, and all of a sudden not to have files is a little strange. We'll see how it plays out. I think the president will do the right thing. I fucking don't. Why would you think that? There's no benefit to him doing this. Representative Chip Roy of Texas, the other right-wing member of the panel who occasionally breaks with his party, did not vote. So absent. He didn't vote no. He just voted like president or whatever. I want to know what the hell is in these files, said Representative Jim McGovern, a Democrat from Massachusetts, the top Democrat on the Rules Committee, arguing in favor of the resolution. This is about trust. Republicans said, trust us, vote for us, and we will release the files. Well, here we are. They're backtracking, McGovern added. I think most of us believe what's appropriate will be released when it is time for the president to release it. So never. Representative Virginia Fox, Republican from North Carolina, the chair of the Rules Committee, said after the vote. McGovern also tried to ram through the Representative Mark Vesey's, a Democrat from Texas, a 5-page resolution demanding that the administration release the Epstein files, that the FBI release a report on any delay, suppression, or destruction of evidence related to the files. Norman voted with Republicans against that measure, arguing that the committee Rules Committee isn't the body to do this. It failed in the 4-8 vote. It will be borne out by the legal authorities and by the public, Norman said. We're talking about crypto, Jim. We're talking about regulations. Yeah, Jim. Stay focused. Who buys this shit, man? How cooked does your fucking brain have to be to, like, actually think that these people give a shit about you? That apparently she dodged Epstein questions during a press conference.
Raising the next generation is a big job, but feeding them well, that should be deliciously simple.
I don't want to watch the whole press conference. I just want to see that clip. President Donald Trump said that he would support you releasing additional credible evidence from the Epstein investigation, the reporter said. Is that something you're open to doing? Blondie declined to answer. Today is about fentanyl, she said. This is about a wall of people right outside this room who have died for. I appreciate your question, but this today is about fentanyl overdoses throughout our country, and people have lost loved ones to fentanyl. That's the message we're here to send today. Nothing about Epstein. I'm not going to talk about Epstein. All the hogs online are like, why did Dems vote to release them under Biden? Which I think they did. Did they? Did Dems vote to release Epstein files under Joe Biden? This would be from years ago. Of course, it's going to show, like, the most recent stuff. Dude, do I have to ask ChatGPT? Are you kidding me? It's the only thing that tool's useful for. Let's see. During Biden's administration. And in the meantime, I want to see what the hell Tim Pool has to say about this. He's been laying low. MAGA civil war erupts over Epstein files. Trump says enough. Backs Bondi featuring Kyle Seraphin. This was a day ago. Let's see how much he can fence it on this one.
From CNN.com. Epstein fallout poses a loyalty test. Trump or MAGA? CNN writes, in the days since the Trump admin released a memo about Epstein directing...
Although it doesn't look like the Democrats tried to do this under Biden. It says there was no House vote in the Biden era. There was no amendment, procedural motion, or floor vote demanding the release of Epstein-related DOJ files at any point when Biden was president from January 2021 to January 2025.
At odds with conspiracy theories pushed by the president and some of his top lieutenants, Trump's movement and most ardent supporters are in revolt. The Justice Department and the FBI released a memo last week concluding there was no evidence that Epstein had a list of powerful men who participated in his alleged underworld of sex trafficking and pedophilia. It is also said the disgraced former financier died by suicide and was not murdered in his New York jail cell. Yet after years of big promises to the president's base, the memo failed to produce a smoking gun, undercutting Trump and his team's own words. And MAGA world isn't happy, pitting the president's closest allies against one another. With Trump defending the findings, the situation has set up an unprecedented loyalty test between the president and the movement he created. Now, I want to pause with these...
How is this an unprecedented loyalty test? Every single thing Trump does and says is a fucking loyal test.
Conspiracy theories. You can see already CNN front-loading the story, poisoning the well. It is not a conspiracy theory that Epstein was engaged in these behaviors because, well, Pam Bondi said he was. Ghislaine Maxwell was charged for it, and so was Epstein. We know that Virginia Giuffre was a witness and made claims about Prince Andrew, who was also accused. None of that is a conspiracy theory. That is a pattern of behavior factually reported in the press far and wide. The question is to what extent. Recently, I should say in recent history, Kash Patel before and
Was it Andrew? Something just happened with Andrew, right? Prince Andrew release, or like he's allowed to like travel or something. This. Jeffrey Epstein pal Prince Andrew free to travel again, but remains an embarrassment to royal family, says expert. Despite no Epstein client list emerging, royal experts say the Duke of York is still seen as an entitled imbecile. He now reportedly ended his self-imposed travel ban following his controversial ties to Jeffrey Epstein. While the disgraced Duke of York can travel freely without fear of repercussions, royal experts insist to Fox News Digital that Air Miles Andy is no longer. Prince Andrew remains an embarrassment to the royal family, royal expert Richard Fitzwilliam told Fox News Digital. No one has forgotten his infamous Newsnight interview or the photograph with Epstein. He continues to be seen as an entitled imbecile. Okay, so this was self-imposed. I thought for a second there was some sort of like legal proceeding that was barring him from freely traveling, but he just decided not to do it because, okay, like, client list not coming out, so it's fine.
Entering as FBI director, stated that the FBI has Epstein's black book. Definitively, he stated it. Bongino wasn't as definitive, though. People tried to drag him. He said, you're not being told the truth about the Epstein story. We got to keep pressure up. Now there seems to be tumult. Who actually has the black book? What's really going on? According to an unsigned, undated memo, which everybody saw in the past week or so, Epstein kept no client list, and the trafficking only went to him. It's possible, but you see, there was a butler that had been criminally charged for trying to sell the information on Epstein's clients. There's a
Butler, or I guess like Epstein, butler criminally charged for trying to sell client list. Who is he talking about?
a photo of Ghislaine Maxwell, a 17-year-old girl, and Prince Andrew. Is the client list just one guy? I find that hard to believe. So what is really going on? Would the FBI have this information? And I don't know, my friends. Are you going to trust the plan, as it were? We're going to be joined by someone who actually worked in the FBI and knows how this stuff works right now. And the interesting thing is, I trust Kash Patel. I do. But he's inside right now, and there's some questions. So we're going to pull in Kyle.
Why would you trust Kash Patel? Why? Not only does he look like a psycho, and yes, I'm just judging him based on his appearance. He went on Joe Rogan, and he was like, his evidence that Epstein killed him, like, what is it? Killed himself was that, I saw it, bro, trust me.
Seraphin. There's a video where Kash says that the black book for Epstein is in possession, that the FBI's got it. What do you think changed, and does the FBI have this Epstein information?
Okay, so it's a complicated question, but at the end of the day, I think people are looking at it in kind of a simple way, and they've been kind of doing this this Fox News boomer routine where they've been kind of talking about truckloads of files, which is absurd. The files would be on a computer, just like everybody would expect a file to be done. They were talking about it being at the Southern District of New York. The FBI holds on to its own evidence. It would bring it to trial, but it's not hanging out at like some United States Attorney's office. That's not reasonable. So these things all seem kind of nonsensical. To talk about the black book, everybody has this idea the black book is all the contacts that he would have and all of the nefarious actors, and that would be the list of clients and the people that he was doing shady stuff with. And that may exist. There may be some book, like, I don't know that Jeffrey Epstein was a guy who ran around with a black book, but that is something that people use to have. The same thing as saying, who's in your Rolodex. However, the list of
I love the way he just like gets up and leaves.
clients would not be something that like Jeffrey Epstein had on a file that was like client list. That's not what you would do. What you would have is an investigator saying these are the people that are implicated in either conspiracy or implicated in child sex trafficking or implicated.
Okay, so Tim Pool was not wrong. So on June 8th, 2018, Epstein's former house manager, okay, he said butler, that's why I couldn't find anything, Alfredo Rodriguez was sentenced to 18 months incarceration after being convicted on an obstruction charge for failing to turn over to police and subsequently trying to sell a journal in which he had recorded Epstein's activities. FBI Special Agent Christina Pryor reviewed the material and agreed it was information, quote, that would have been extremely useful in investigating and prosecuting the case, including names and contact information of material witnesses and additional victims. But why doesn't it happen then? Cool, that's gone. Cool. The citation for this just doesn't exist anymore.
In the child
Love
sexual
Wikipedia.
abuse scandal, that was the concern. Now, none of that could be real. It could be absolutely realistic that there is none of that there, and this was all hype. But the real scandal, and I think the reason that there's fallout for MAGA people, I think the reason that there's fallout for people that feel like they are betrayed, is that it was an issue in the campaign. Donald Trump brought it up himself. He was on Lex Friedman. He brought it up. Donald Trump Jr. brought it up in front of large crowds, talking about how they went after his father, but they didn't go after people that were on the Epstein list, whatever that is. J.D. Vance brought it up on Theo Vaughn. Dan Bongino did whole podcasts about it. Kash Patel did multiple appearances, whether it be on Glenn Beck or with you or others. He went out there and talked about it regularly, repeatedly, and didn't ever explain. The difference is we have a cognitive dissonance of people said one thing and they didn't do anything that showed us that what they said previously was wrong. This morning, I mentioned on my own program that like one of my proudest moments in the FBI was actually being able to show exculpatory information based on a false allegation that was brought to me that we investigated in all good conscience, and it looked really damning up front. And it was specifically about a guy who supposedly was a child sex offender or was a sex offender and was hanging out with kids and in a way that was against the law. He was using a fake name. He was traveling illicitly. He was leaving down to Mexico, and he was hanging out with a bunch of poor kids
The leverage is still in play. How do you mean?
in the colonias outside of Juarez and bringing them bicycles by the hundreds, which seems super scandalous if you have a guy that is supposedly on the sex offender registry, which he was. But then you find out the details of it. And you find out that his conviction was actually really sketchy. And if it was done today, it probably wouldn't have happened. And it was about 15 different items of child sexual material that was in a huge folder that he downloaded from Napster and he may have never even seen. There's no implication that he was actually targeting that he wasn't interested in children. It just happened to be on something he downloaded back in the day when file sharing was a thing. And people used to take them down, by the megabytes because we didn't have gigabytes back then. Nobody had that.
You think Trump would lie about Epstein, or do you think are now showing him? You can just stop it. Like, do you think Trump would lie? Yes. Yes. And you never have to ask me again. Would Trump lie about this? Yes, he would. He would lie about anything.
That kind of bandwidth. So that was the thing. And I was able to show.
The blackmail is still in play. That information controls powerful people, gets them to do what we want. I honestly think that a lot of the reason why there's going to be a lack of transparency is because if there's even the chance that Trump is implicated anywhere in those files, they just don't want to hand Democrats a news cycle that will just endlessly shame and parade that connection around, and that's it.
Through unsealed court records, that this guy probably wasn't the guy that we thought he was, but all of the smoke looked like there would be fire, and the fire was actually not there. This could be the same thing. It could be that they've been talking about this, that he's been kind of a right-wing boogeyman, and we were all wrong about it. I wasn't on the case. I don't know. But I know all the things that look intense. We saw that there was a United States attorney that said that he was Intel's property, that he was working with intelligence agencies, that he was an asset. We know from 2008 filings that the FBI actually did go out and lean on him when he was convicted, and they were able to go get information from him of what value we don't know because that's not declassified. But we do know that he had contact with the FBI.
Dems might not want it out either. I mean, there's less reason for them, but there were Democrats like Bill Clinton that were implicated in them, or that could be because he knew him. But if you have Democrats that are actively voting for it, like Ro Khanna and stuff like that, they clearly think that there's more of an advantage to be gained by it being released than it being shielded from the public.
So probably got signed up as a CHS. So there's a lot of smoke. The only way that you clear that smoke is a full, transparent mea culpa. We said a bunch of stuff and we were wrong. And what you saw instead was, and this is why there's all this turmoil, you saw a leaked memo to Axios on a Sunday evening, in my opinion, hiding behind the tragedies that happened down the street from me in Texas. I live in Central Texas in the Hill Country, so we just had people washed away with floods. We had torrential rains yesterday, more flooding again, and it looked like they tried to sneak this thing out. And when I was talking to Alex Jones, he called it trying to drop a fart in church. Sometimes you get a silent but deadly one and it gets out there. Sometimes it squeaks and everybody looks at you. This was a squeak. Everyone looked and went, wait a minute, what? You just going to drop this memo on us that says that there are no co-conspirators? He killed himself. No one else is going to be indicted. And by the way, there's no evidence that he was doing anything wrong. He killed himself for no reason. You're going to have to explain it a little bit better than a 2-page unsigned memo, which the Deputy Attorney General came out and said, Dan Bongino signed onto it, Kash Patel signed onto it, and Todd Blanche, signed out on it. Like, there's no daylight between them. That was his official statement on X from his official account representing the government's position with both of their seals on it. So then we started seeing the other chaos.
Let me try something right now. So what do we have? I think we have monitors on. Anyway.
Oh my God, are you really just going to leave it, dude? This fucking echo?
Hard to do with the echo. I'm fighting through it. But let's do this. Where was I? Do you think that there is something big behind
Why would you upload this?
I hear what you're saying. They basically hyped it up. They made this really, really big story. And it may be a big story, but they're not finding the evidence that they thought they were going to have.
That's exactly, yeah, that's what I think is the possibility. Now, there's also a possibility that it's a problem. And you know, the problem is we're not in a position to actually assess that evidence. And for me, the scandal is actually not Epstein specifically, although the idea of letting child sex traffickers get away with it is abhorrent to me. I'm a father, and so that makes me want to puke. It's something that I think Americans on the left and the right are going to get on. I think the folks that are in the left-wing media that are taking this up are seeing an opportunity to drive a wedge between folks, so that's awful. But listen, for me, this is the same sort of unforced error that the Biden administration withdrawal from Afghanistan was. Like, no one made you do it. No one made you come out and message it poorly. There was a way to do it right. They got either bad information or it was being, you know, there's some subterfuge was happening.
Oh my God, I cannot believe these people have the gall, the fucking audacity to bring that up. Trump was the one that put that withdrawal into motion, and Democrats made the decision to just go with the momentum that had started under Trump and follow through with the withdrawal.
Happening. We're talking.
But of course, they blame like Biden a bunch for like, oh, he botched it. Oh, they left fucking weapons behind or whatever. It's like, yeah, the Taliban didn't have guns before until then.
About a group of people from the FBI.
Like Trump only bitched out over that because his advisors were like, it's gonna be bad if you do it and follow through with it. You're gonna look like a fucking loser, Don. Because that's what ended up happening with Biden.
That are in mid-level management that are giving the worst advice possible and want to see Kash Patel and Dan Bongino fail. That is their mission set. They want to continue the status quo. That's what a quote-unquote deep state does. That's what an administrative state will do. Everything we hear about is that Dan Bongino is miserable there because these people keep telling him that if he doesn't do everything that they want and sign off on all the programs and stay in the office late hours, that New York is going to explode or California is going to have a bio attack or some other crazy thing, cyber attack will take down the grid. So he's the man standing there in the gap. In reality, at some point, he'll realize that they're just hammering him with the same stuff they do to agents at Quantico. It's this tactic of just getting cortisol overload and stressing you out to the point where you make bad decisions. But it doesn't take away from the fact that there was a right decision, which was either coming out in full transparency. They could have just not talked about it for a while and said, we're still working on it. We haven't heard anything about the J6 pipe bomber. We haven't heard anything about the cocaine case, the Dobbs leaker, all the other things they said we were going to get transparency on haven't materialized.
J6 pipe bomber? January 6th pipe bomber. What are we talking about? FBI releases new video and hunt for January 6th pipe bomb suspect. The FBI has released a new surveillance footage in a bid to gather more info in its 4-year hunt for a suspect who placed pipe bombs near the DNC and RNC headquarters on the night before January 6, 2021, when the riot on the U.S. Capitol took place. The pipe bombs were safely deactivated and did not explode, despite an extensive investigation and a $500,000 reward. The suspect remains unidentified. The suspect placed his first bomb. Like under a bush. It's weird.
Materialized either. So they didn't have to drop it this way. That's probably not their best move. But the big real problem is that Pam Bondi went out and said there is this material. It does exist, that there is evidence of something horrific. We had Alina Habba say the same thing. And again, these guys who were not in the government at the time said it. What you also will, for evidence, those two ladies on the DOJ side have been hyping this up. What you've actually seen is an undersell from Kash Patel and Dan Bongino over the last, let's say, 3 months. They've gone out on Fox, looked like they were sitting on kind of like thumbtacks, like really uncomfortably, trying to kind of let this thing out slowly, saying, hey, listen, by the way, like he didn't kill himself. And everyone went like, wait, what? That may be the case. It may be 100% accurate. But then you've got this other undermining thing where the video came out the other day and it was edited in Adobe Premiere and it was spliced together from multiple takes. And, you know, there's a possibility of a timeline sync and some things like that. And you go like, this is not how you look, transparent and genuine and honest. It's not the way that you do a rollout where you go out and you show all your cards, which is what needed to happen for people to feel like if you're going to change it 100%, if you're going to do a 360 from what you said last year, you have to actually say, I was wrong and I'm totally comfortable with knowing that I did it wrong. Like I said, when I was in the Bureau and I did that,
doing this?
It was a really relief.
I'm like, I'm like not interested in what this guy is saying at all. Tim Pool's just acted so weird this whole time.
Moment because nobody wants to go after somebody who's innocent. Nobody wants to go out and make a claim and then have to retract it. But it's better to retract it than to lie about it and try to cover it up. And I think they tried to get away with the best of both worlds, which was that maybe if we say it quietly, nobody will hear us.
Why not just lie better? The lies have been poor. It's a jumbled mess. They could have come out. Dan Bongino could have winked on camera and done nothing else. and this story will not be happening.
This is like surreal.
Yeah, all true. No, this is like the worst possible outcome. Mike Howell, who's over at the Oversight Project, they're a spinoff from Heritage Foundation. He said if you were going to teach a class on the worst possible way to do a government rollout of information, this would be one of the top lessons on not how to do it. You did it with nobody signing it, so nobody put their name to it, so you've got no sort of credibility behind the original memo. Then it turns out that memo
Is it mirrors the audio doubling? No, the audio is doubling. I don't like Temple does not even know what's going on, and he won't fix it. So it's just him trying to talk through it.
Is legit, because if you remember, the Sunday question was all the MAGA influencer types were out there going like, well, it's coming from Axios. We don't trust Axios, and rightly so. Axios is a mouthpiece for a couple things. One, people on the political left and sort of the murky, swampy administrative state, but it's also a mouthpiece for the intelligence community, which means they are favorable to doing a leak, and they will take that access, and they're happy to be the exclusive provider of this. And something that people are not going to know, because if you don't, well, they weren't party to this conversation, but I had a private conversation with Kash Patel before he was sworn in. One of his big concerns was media leaks, which is something that plagued Ray's administration, was an issue for the last DOJ and the last FBI, mostly because they were doing things that were nefarious and unseemly. And a longtime retired FBI agent and a whistleblower attorney brought the following information to Kash's awareness, which I guess he wasn't aware of. It makes sense. He said leaks to the media are a tool of the FBI director. They've been going back as long as probably, since before 9/11, but definitely in the post 9/11 world. Mueller used them effectively. Comey used them effectively. McCabe did as well when he was in the interim.
Why only post 9/11? If you have this view that the FBI has strategically used leaks to manufacture media narratives, why would it have only been then?
Role, and of course Chris Wray did as well. So they could go out and you can share and turn the narrative. Not only do you choose the information you're going to share and when you're going to share it and how you're going to share it, but you also choose the outlet that you're going to go to. And if you go to a Newsweek, it's going to hit differently than if you go to a Fox News or if you go to an independent media source. And if you go to Axios, it has a certain hit. And so I think they made a strategic move. I just think it was the worst possible one. So whoever is advising them, and that fits with my theory that the folks that are inside the Bureau that want to see bad outcomes, they're cheering right now, because you're never going to hear the advisors who briefed Kash or Dan. You're never going to hear those people's names. They're not going to be someone that you're aware of. Maybe I might hear about them from people inside the Bureau that reach out and say, hey, by the way, this is the person that was the last one to touch this. But other than that, it's not going to be transparent. The people who are going to be left with egg on their face, the two guys that are at the top of the agency, and used to be only one person would get it. It used to be just Chris Wray. Like, most people don't know who Paula Bate was, and they don't know who David Bowditch was, the previous deputy directors. These are not people that are in their sphere, because the deputy director is kind of a low-key role that runs the Bureau, executes the policy, and the director is the one that's kind of
the deputy director is a low-key role in the FBI. Who buys this?
PR face.
There was another story, and that's the Biden auto pen pardons. So he didn't sign off on these. He had a general.
Yeah, fuck it. Why fix it?
Someone claims he offered these pardons. There's a question of how would the FBI handle something if someone is pardoned? Can you guys go after them? And then I'm just curious your general thoughts on the pardons themselves, if they're legit and what should be done.
So this is a novel problem, right? So you're using an executive power that probably cannot be delegated, although I guess there's some question on whether or not you can delegate that under Article 2. Can you delegate it to a subordinate in the same way?
Aaron should be the FBI director. I'm working on it. All I need is for Bongino Patel to get the fuck out of the way. Then I'm there.
Law enforcement authorities are delegated to the attorney.
Me or is the audio doubling? The audio is doubling. It's not just you. Everybody's like new in chat.
General, the ability to either investigate and or
dude's fluent in Japanese and not saying a damn thing. It's so he just keeps bringing up random things. Like, this explanation is like not compelling whatsoever.
Are all delegated to the FBI and so on and so forth. So the way that it would play out is an FBI director would decide, it would obviously probably be the deputy and then somebody who's actually running, let's say, criminal investigation, counterterrorism investigations. It would be below that. They would decide, we are going to do an investigation to fill in the blank person for the following allegations. They have to be, for criminal aspects, it has to be a allegation that some federal crime took place and that this person is the alleged perpetrator of it. And they would investigate it. You can investigate anybody for anything as long as you have that authorized purpose. There are different levels of FBI investigations. They go from preliminary to full. They have a thing called an assessment, which is another animal. But at the end of the day, allegation or information that a federal crime took place is good enough for you to open that investigation and sign off, and you get the resources to go along with it. So the investigation is easy, no problem. You can investigate anybody, even if they've been pardoned. Then comes the questions whether or not you can indict them. That's going to be a question of political will more than anything else. You bring it over to DOJ, and somebody, either a United States attorney or a subordinate there, what's called an assistant United States attorney, a line prosecutor, will accept it and say, yeah, I am willing to prosecute this case. They're going to have a whole bunch of different questions. There's a process of vetting out the person that is called the subject through what's called the SIM, the sensitive investigative matter. So they've got all these policies that will come into play. But at the end of the day, if they want to do it, yes, they could totally do that. Then they can bring that information in front of a grand jury and get the indictment. The grand jury is going to say, yes, we believe.
Dude, this guy, like, I can't take more of this dude's yapping. He's going nowhere with this. Do not confuse loyalty with obedience. America first means America first. It doesn't mean Trump first. Yeah, well, think again, because Trump thinks he coined the term America first, and that if he says it means a certain thing, then that's what it means. All right, whatever. We're doing PBD. So this was earlier today. Maxwell's Epstein offer of Mamdani effect is real, and Trump's shooting was an inside job. Dude, you fucking wish.
Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell is ready to reveal truth of the pedophilia client list as insiders. So why are Republicans blocking her? All right, so let's go to this. Why are Republicans blocking her? Ghislaine Maxwell, 63-year-old, serving 20 years for child sex trafficking charges related to pedophilia, Jeffrey Epstein web of underage girls, is willing to testify before Congress with a source stating, despite the rumors, Ghislaine was never offered any kind of plea deal. She would be more than happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. No one from the government has asked her to share what she knows. She remains the only person to be jailed in connection to Epstein, and she would welcome the chance to tell
because of that, Trump has considered pardoning her before.
American public the truth. Controversy surrounds the Department of Justice claims that there's no Epstein client list and video suggesting the 2019 jail suicide, with a source close to Maxwell saying congressional hearings have been held into everything from JFK assassination to 9/11 JFK files rank up with those cases. Ghislaine would be willing to speak before Congress and tell her story, while President Trump posted on Truth Social. For years, it's been Epstein.
YouTube Premium, so stop. It's coming tonight.
Over and over again. Why are we not giving the publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? Vinny, your thoughts on the story?
I mean, 1 week later from how crazy we were at Adam, remember, Adam, you were saying how this is a story for crazy, stupid losers?
No,
well,
I just said losers.
Oh, losers. Well, I mean...
He's still so ass mad about this. He absolutely fucking hates that they are interested in this, because I know it's obvious that Adam just sees it as a vehicle for anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, but he doesn't want to seem soy, so he can't say that. So he constantly has to be like, why does everybody care about this? It doesn't, like, he can't say it doesn't matter, but he all but says that.
Sorry, I had a little bit
No.
more.
Just to clarify,
yeah.
I said people who are obsessed with this tend to be losers.
Well, did you see what happened, Adam? That week, for this past week, Google searches for Epstein, Ghislaine, this whole situation, you know how much percentage it was up?
I'm sure it was up
1,200%.
Oh.
Pat, can we play this really fast?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is there a ticker?
Because these are all the losers. Show all the losers. Go.
What a massive, unforced error by the Trump administration. Donald Trump would love this story to go away, but in fact, interest is climbing higher and higher, to quote Jackie Wilson. Look at this. Google searches for Epstein.
Good or no? I'm on clips.
I can hear you. Can't hear clips. Play it again, Rob.
Jay, come on in here.
What a massive, unforced error by the Trump administration. Donald Trump would love this story to go away, but in fact, interest is climbing higher and higher, to quote Jackie Wilson. Look at this. Google searches for Epstein up 1,200% this week versus last. And get this, it is currently the top topic search with Trump on Google alongside his presidency. So Donald Trump normally, leans into stories in which there's controversy, like tariffs, for example. Yeah. This is a story in which he's trying to get away from.
Just with everything that's happening, okay, let's just call it what it is. Something is obviously off. I don't know if the president's name is involved. And again, me and Adam had a conversation.
People who are obsessed with this tend to be losers. Does he know he's talking about almost the whole MAGA base?
We're not, when people think.
I mean, more importantly, not just the whole MAGA base. Like, what's more consequential to Adam is, like, he's indicting this whole room because they clearly give a shit about it. And they are these are real Trump diehards, real Trump toadies, real MAGA believers. They genuinely do not understand why he won't just release it.
Think of underage, like pedophilia. You're thinking of those guys from To Catch a Predator, where it's like a 40-year-old guy showing up in an apartment with a bag of Burger King and they're trying to hook up. We're not. What about hanging out at a party and there's a 16-year-old that is gorgeous, that doesn't look like she's 16, and you're there and you're doing whatever, and they have video.
It's weird, bro. It's weird. Is that just me? What if you're just at a party and there's a gorgeous 16-year-old? Why'd you say that, dude?
And photos. It's not necessarily that you're being with like an underage girl, but you got duped in this Mossad, blackmail, whatever, honeypot, and now they have dirt.
Yeah, whom amongst us hasn't been at a house party? There's a gorgeous 16-year-old, and you get duped into accidentally abusing them.
Because there's absolutely no way, because people like me, Adam, the losers that are fed up with.
Don't you just hate when you like you slip on a banana peel and you find yourself having fallen into a sex trafficking ring of minors? Whoops.
All the
hate when that
stuff
happens.
that we were promised, all the stuff. The war was going to end in Ukraine on day one. Bullshit. We're sending more weaponry to go over there. Okay, all the accountability for the deep state. They're all chilling. They're all walking free. The Brennan.
Vinny has never been at a party. Actually, I learned the other day that not only is Vinny like went to jail or something for like Narcan. This did not even look like him. That is Vinny. Sheriff, 3 found overdose on heroin in car sitting in the middle of the road. This is him. Someone sent this to me. This was in, what year was this? This was 2019. The Albany County Sheriff has a serious warning. Don't do drugs while you're driving. 41-year-old man is charged for driving after taking heroin. His car was found sitting in the middle of the road. The driver and both passengers inside the car had overdosed. It's very odd to have 3 go down at the same time like that, Apple said. If it weren't for the first responder who was carrying Narcan Thursday, the 3 people may not have survived. We received a 911 call from a car passing by that said there's a car parked in the middle of the roadway on Route 156 in the town of Bern, and the 3 individuals in the car are unconscious. So they were all unconscious, overdosed on heroin.
Comey thing, I don't give a shit about. And something is going on.
I don't think it's him. His face is a lot redder. Somebody sent it to me saying that it was him. He was like, he didn't die. You can overdose and not die. He was asleep, and they it just said that they were saved with Narcan or whatever. I mean, heroin does some shit. He looked better in that than he does here. Funnily enough, it does age you.
Where everybody, we were promised everything. Bongino, everybody came in all riding high pat. The moment they came in, everything's changed, and now they're trying to tell us that we're crazy and we're the C words. I won't even say that word. So it's pissing me off.
Wait, the C words? The cunts? Like, what? Am I missing something?
Now they're trying to tell us, you guys are, move on. And when somebody like Ben
the conspiracy theory, I won't even say it. Why can't he say that?
Shapiro of all people is telling me not to look into something and then go, it's a conspiracy. I don't listen to it. Okay, it's absolutely horseshit. Something is up. And in fact, Ghislaine Maxwell, this might be a ploy. If she gets killed, guys, if she's actually going to go in front of the camera and testify in front of Congress, and she suicides herself,
These are good guesses. Cunts, crazy, clowns, Chinese.
Want to see what
you could say all of those on a stream though.
Gonna say. I want to see what the president's gonna say and what all these people are gonna say. That we're all crazy, because if she speaks and she gives names, it's over. It's over for her. She's a dead woman walking.
And by the way, before I go to Tom, Rob, you want to pull up the voting that they did last night, the results of it. So the Rules Committee voted 149 motion by McGovern to make in Order Amendment 50, which this was in regards to the files to be preserved and release any records related to Jeffrey Epstein. 5-7. They lost.
What?
And the people that said yes were all liberals, except for one Republican. And the people that said nay were all Republicans. Tom, why would Republicans not want to release all the records on Jeffrey Epstein?
Get ready for some insane cope coming. Let's hear it.
This is now really, really, really bothering me. This vote last night, I asked this question. Why wouldn't all of these people, because this is what people talked about during the election, during the campaign. And by the way, during some of their campaigns, too. It's not just the president. It was other people about reelect me, send me back to Washington, and I will make sure they're JFK, MLK, Epstein, the files are released. Some of these people, I want to find some of these people that were conservatives, they campaigned on that. And Ro Khanna, who's been on this podcast, puts a motion out and says, okay, folks, I'll tell you what.
Ro Khanna's been on PBD?
Let's all vote on it. Do we put a motion in place that says you should preserve and release the information? That's all Ro Khanna was doing there. And it's just shocking who's protecting who, because this is like a clear cut, statement here. Oh, if he has something, we're not going to compel him.
I was waiting for them to just go with the Republican line of, oh, it's an irrelevant amendment given what we're trying to pass, because it was related to like crypto and defense spending, but they're not even going with that. There's an answer. There's a party line that is already being fed to constituents to repeat, and they're just instead embarrassing themselves by doing the surprise Pikachu face
in this forum to push it out.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying, and that bothers me. This This really bothers me when I'm told,
Tom's
don't
bothered.
look at anything, nothing to see here.
I have
number
a
one.
position. I have a position that I'm wondering, Tom, if.
But on
if-
this vote, this is
Yeah,
these votes
I know.
are bothersome.
That's what I was wondering. Like, I'm trying to think strategy. That's all I'm thinking about right now. I'm trying to think strategy right now because it's one of two things. Either everybody there is there to protect the president, or everybody is taking this position because some sort of strategy. And I have some thoughts, but I want to.
What strategy? What benefit is there to this? They get shit even just by opposing it, but they know that they get even more shit if they were to actually release it and there's something substantial in there on Trump.
Go to Adam first.
Well,
Adam.
let me hear your thoughts.
Okay.
I love
So he's genuinely like weighing the options. Like, I mean, it's possible that it's just total undying complete fealty to Trump all times, no questions asked. But it could also be 10D chess. Let's ask Grok.
I literally just wrote there's two things. Either Donald Trump is compromised, meaning they have something on him, number one, or number two, somebody else is saying, don't dare release it because we're on it.
Or there's another or.
Yeah.
Or there's another or. So let's go through all.
Okay, but why would Trump not release something? Because it would be damaging to somebody other than himself. Even that doesn't make sense. And how could they pressure Trump? You couldn't really have one without the other. If you think that they have something on Trump, and those people are like, you can't release it because there's something on me, they have to have something on Trump to be able to use that as leverage to prevent him from releasing it. Otherwise, what would they have? What power would you have over the president of the United States?
Three ors.
They're using it?
So let's go through all three ors. So number one is Donald Trump's on it. Okay. All right. So let's say that's the one where he doesn't want to go through. That's an easy one. If it's on there, it's on. If it's not, it's not. If it's on there, prove it. But my suspicion to think he's on there is so low because Obama would have had it.
Yep.
Biden would have had it. They would have done everything in their power.
BBD always tries to frame things in a business strategy framework. I know. That's why he has, speaking of framework, isn't it nice how Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David is so lovingly framed in this as he talks about this strategy.
They're on it, Pat. But what if they're on it?
Let me make my point, and I'm gonna hear everybody's thoughts. So the second thing that to me is if Trump's on it, they would have used it, they would have destroyed him, they would have smashed him, they would have never let him get into the White House. Ever let him get to the White House. So that's one. Two, the Republicans don't want to release it because, a lot of them are on there and, a lot of the money people are on there, so they don't want to release it because of whatever reason. Let's go to three.
How are we just going to scroll past that? We're just moving past that nonchalantly. You're telling me that the party that you support and vote for potentially has a bunch of alleged sex offenders and pedophiles in it, and there can't be transparency to protect those elite politicians. Literally the thing you accuse Democrats of being a part of with Pizzagate and QAnon. And he just moves past that like it's nothing.
Politics is super nasty, right?
Profound.
So just think about the game of politics. Play the game.
Right.
Okay.
Not as an outsider, be one.
Okay.
We're not politicians. We're not in the game. You're a podcaster. You're giving opinions.
Yes.
You're giving your thoughts.
You're giving
your
takes.
perspective. You're not in the arena. You're not playing the game in the arena, right? You're not.
We're spectators.
We're spectators in the game of politics.
Yes.
We're spectators in the game of politics. Okay.
Spectators in the game of politics.
But
Got
not
it.
go inside, okay, and play the game of politics. When you wake up in the morning and you have ambitions of moving up in politics, not if you wake up in the morning like, I'm just going to do my job and that's what I'm going to do and what else the reports I need to look to respond. No.
That was
that's
kind
a
of
person that's
musical
just being
from
a
him.
congressman or senator. I'm talking about you are super ambitious. Man, one day I want to be that president, vice president, House of Rep. I want to be Speaker of the House. You're super ambitious, right? Nothing wrong with the way you're there. What's the first thing you look for when you wake up in the morning? Controversy on your opponent to call their asses out, okay? You're looking
I do that every single morning without fail.
for any fumble you look for to call them out. Any fumble to look for to call them out, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Boom. Like Newsom's the best at it. First thing in the morning he wakes up, forget about what's going on in California. The first thing he looks at is, did Trump have a fumble? Did DeSantis have a fumble? Did Nashville, Tennessee have a fumble? Did Texas have a fumble? Let me call their asses out. Why is he doing that? He's trying to be number one. He wants to be a president, okay? In the last 6 months, President Trump hasn't had a bigger fumble than this one.
I Google my nemesis every morning first thing. It's the only way. It's the only way to get into the politics game and play it right.
What has Clinton said about it?
Zero.
He just was like, let's get into the mindset of somebody who's in the politics game. Step 1, go to sleep. Step 2, wake up the next morning. Step 3, grab phone, do a Google search for top headlines on the opposing party.
What has Hillary Clinton said about it?
Big man moves we're talking about here.
Bro, what's Biden said about it?
Nothing.
How about Jill? How about Barack? How about Michelle? How about Schumer? Why haven't they said anything about it? This is an easy opportunity to do one of these things.
100%.
You think Obama's going to get a letter chance like that? You think Clinton's Hillary?
I love how he's fixated more on the lack of statements from Democrats and not some of them, the people that he named, Joe Biden, who currently is being treated for prostate cancer, the former first lady, a woman he's never given a shit about before this moment to make this point. Chuck Schumer, fine. Let's see, has Chuck Schumer commented on any of this? And then Obama, who's not currently in office. And he's trying to say that must mean, like, that's more significant than Republicans actually voting against releasing it.
You think Hillary's going to let her chance go?
Crickets.
Can I ask why they haven't said anything? Why haven't you said anything? Is it because you're such a statesman and you're...
Are you driving way less than you used to?
Just in. Chuck Schumer asked why he didn't push for Epstein files release while Dems were in power. Let's see what he says.
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Files, why didn't you propose that while Biden was president and you had a Democrat running the DOJ?
Look, the bottom line is they should release the files now. Yes. Yes.
Does the change?
Nice.
So noble, and it's not the proper thing to do because we're not the president today, and we're not like other people that go after the private.
Like the other people that he named, you would not expect them to. You wouldn't expect them to do it. But then even the one that's like, okay, maybe Chuck Schumer didn't say anything. They should release it a few hours ago. To be fair, they hadn't done it, but it's like you're one saving grace. Chuck Schumer, and then hours later, disproven. But of course, the people that watch this won't know that. The other thing is apparently, according to Open Secrets, Chuck Schumer is saying that even though he was the recipient of money in 1992, 95, 95, 97, Jeffrey Epstein, $4,000 total.
Administration. I mean, Obama went
Never
after
stopped him
Bush.
before.
Obama went after Bush every chance. I've inherited this. I've inherited all of this. And how many times? Half of the Americans who never knew, a majority of immigrants who came to America and didn't know what the word inherited meant, they did right after Obama became president because he used the word every flipping day. I inherited this from the Bush previous administration. And how come you're not going after him?
I actually feel like Obama didn't nail Bush enough.
Why not?
For that.
Rob, maybe I'm wrong. Can you go on one of these ChatGPT or Groks and just kind of...
And like, as opposed to Trump, who we just watched the Fox News interview between him and Lara Trump yesterday, and the majority of it, any flaws, of course, the Joe Biden economy, the Joe Biden administration did this to me. Very unfair, very disrespectful.
Search it and say, what have the biggest Democratic establishment voices said about the Epstein fumble President Trump had this past week? What has the biggest Democratic establishment voices have?
He thinks that this is indicative of something nefarious when it's way more boring. It's that Democrats don't capitalize on stuff like this because they're idiots. That's it. It's not because they're like more implicated than Republicans at this point, because the Republicans are the ones that are actually blocking it. Yeah, and like pointing to their inaction, you could have made an argument certainly that was indicative of something potentially nefarious. But now that you have Democrats that are voting and then the ones that aren't involved in the votes saying, yeah, I support it, there should be transparency, you're grasping at straws.
The big fumble said it this week. Okay, let's just see what it says. And then we can specifically ask names. So, Ro Khanna, but these are not the biggest ones.
No.
Go bottom.
Nobody knows
those names. No, I'm saying ask specifically.
Like Bill Clinton.
Like figures like, what about Clinton's, Obama's, Biden's, Schumer,
Pelosi's, the
Pelosi's, Pelosi's, those types of names.
This would be like pointing to an absence from fucking like George Bush making a statement on this and trying to say that that's the smoking gun or the silver bullet, or that should be the entry point for you starting to suspect that more danger is afoot. Why would Obama? Like, Obama doesn't even speak up for humanitarian causes. The dude is like retirement Obama just has like a fucking production company and like makes documentaries and movies. That's it.
That's the establishment.
I think Nancy did say something. I think she said something.
He like barely even campaigns for people.
Clinton's hasn't publicly commented on it.
I've been on vacation.
Why
and I didn't have
wouldn't
good
you?
coverage.
Okay.
It's actually a pretty good Clinton impression.
Past that, visiting the White House 17 times and flying on Epstein Island in the early 2000s. Epstein went to the White House 17 times? Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Hillary Clinton has remained largely silent on the latest development. Okay, Obama's hasn't had any public reaction to Trump's Epstein. However, Trump's strategy of blaming Obama Clinton for scandal shows how he's deflecting responsibility. Biden hasn't issued anything, but Democrats in Congress, no, I'm not talking about Democrats. Schumer has amplified the issue, supporting demand for Epstein records and using conjunction. Okay, so...
Wait, so it does say... Yeah, Biden hasn't issued a specific statement. Either Democrats in Congress writing his momentum or pressing for transparency or whatever.
Democrats. Schumer has amplified the...
Biden let his party take the lead publicly. Dude, this is why ChatGPT is so cooked. Why is that AI summary saying that? Like Biden is the head of the party still.
issue supporting demand for Epstein records and using conjunction. Okay.
Very true. Hey, Obama does stuff. He just yelled at the left recently. I shouldn't be downplaying his contributions to the discourse.
Okay, so that's one. Speaker Pelosi hasn't spoken about the recent fumble, but has historically led efforts to transparency. Okay, and this is ChatGPT. You know ChatGPT is generally going to be leaning a little bit to the left, right? Why haven't they?
ChatGPT is going to be a little bit leaning to the left. The left-wing ChatGPT. Yeah, when it doesn't give you the answer that you want, which is already a fucking terrible, like, AI summary, it must be left-wing media bias.
Why aren't they saying anything? Why are they quiet? You know, so that leads me to think a guy sends me a message. I think Trump.
Also, why didn't you ask Grok if you know that?
Is playing 4D chess and all this other stuff. He's telling me this stuff. Okay, let's give that a little bit of credence. The fact that maybe they have so much intel that they're using this against them. Could it be? Could it be the fact that Obama's, Clinton's, all these guys are so quiet about this Epstein issue? They haven't said anything. They're just watching it from the outside. You're seeing Republicans fight each other. This is a perfect opportunity to jump in and say something. This is a very good opportunity to jump in and say something. You're not saying anything. Why aren't you saying anything? You've never been known for being noble. Your good friend Rahm Emanuel, who helped you with the elections when you were in Chicago and you were going to Schwartzman, hoping to get his support, and Rahm Emanuel and Schwartzman had a fight in that hotel room.
You called it, he's claiming 4D chess. There's no other way to cope with this. The only way that you have to, if you're not going to admit that Trump is covering for this and he doesn't want to release it for whatever reason, and it's increasingly pointing to the fact that he believes, or his advisors have convinced him, that he will be implicated in a significant way. He also didn't sue Elon Musk for defamation when Elon Musk tweeted out that Trump won't release them because he's in them. And Trump is a very litigious man. So that's already, like, that's on the one side. So you have to come up, and if you're not going to admit that or reckon with reality, you have to come up with all of these alternative scenarios, and like, these are not even plausible scenarios. Or again, we're pointing to the absence of evidence as evidence that Democrats are actually the ones pulling the strings and more guilty than Republicans, who are actively obstructing the ongoing efforts to bring transparency to the public on this.
You know, the event.
Like, if they were going to be ChatGPTing anything, they should have been looking into the past of those Republicans that were saying no, to see, have they made any statements? Do they have any financial ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Did they get money from them?
Whether it was a Hotel Moore conference, Rahm Emanuel never let a crisis go to waste. Never. This is a crisis. You guys are letting it go to waste. Why are you letting it go to waste?
It's your crisis, though. It's Republican crisis.
I don't know. I don't know why you're letting it go to waste. I'm just curious.
Also, again, like, he's pointing to like old party figures. He's not talking about people in the leadership now.
It's a value. It's a
like, Rahm Emanuel is like an op-ed writer for the fucking Atlantic.
Question to ask
Very
to
valid.
see what's going on there.
And it's crazy that you brought up. It's like, think about that. Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House under Clinton 17 times. And do you guys remember, little fun fact, Mark Middleton, you remember who he was, Rob? Remember?
The way that they're talking about it, it's like this just broke. Like, yeah, when they did the investigation, they knew that. They knew that he had visited Bill Clinton.
That guy, special assistant to Bill Clinton, he's the guy that signed him on 7 times, signed him on to come see the president, come see the White House. And that's the same guy that suicided himself with a extension cord in a tree, hanged himself, shot himself with a shotgun pad, and they couldn't find the shotgun. Weird.
I love why did he say suicided himself? And he whatever the C word was earlier, he can't say that, but he forgot to say unalived.
Weird how that happens, guys. Isn't that?
Oh, we're doing this? Mark Middleton was an American businessman and lawyer who served as a special assistant to President Bill Clinton in the White House during the 1990s. He died in 2022 in an alleged suicide.
Weird. That's the guy, right, Rob? Mark Middleton. That's the guy. Remember they shot him, and the detectives were like, "Yeah, this is suicide." They're like, "But guess what? Can't find the gun." Weird. It's weird. Yeah. That they're eerily quiet.
Adam, where are you at with this?
So true, King. You know what's even weirder? The Republicans that say they want to bring transparency to light over all of this, the QAnon influencers that were installed and handpicked by Trump into his cabinet that said they were going to bring justice to even more victims and release all the files, declining to do it.
So, I've been watching.
But instead, we are looking at Wikipedia pages of associates from Bill Clinton, a man who is not even actively in the party or in an office right now.
A lot of people over the weekend sort of have very emotional responses to what's going on here. And I put these people in 3 categories. There's
stupid, and really stupid.
That's just your 3rd category, Vinny.
Gotcha.
I'll save the best for last. There's the people who want the truth and they're
oh my God, the girls are fighting.
Frustrated, and they have every right of knowing that. I totally get those people, totally understand that. The second tier of people, I believe, are people who are eating their popcorn watching this. It's like Game of Thrones and House of Cards and Tiger King all in one for these type of people.
Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Tiger King. I get Game of Thrones. House of Cards is more apt. Tiger King? What?
And then there's a third type of people, like my friend Vinny, who I love very much. And Jeffrey Epstein is living rent-free in your head. And you can't shake it. And every morning you wake up, you're like, "Dude, we need more information on Epstein."
Actually, I don't.
It's like you're watching the show.
That's not what I do in the morning.
And you're speculating, "Oh, it's this guy. It could be him. I don't know what's going on." When the reality is, and I mean this sincerely, you don't know shit, bro.
Oh, yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Because
I'll retort when you're done.
If Pam Bondi is saying,
I mean, they're not really claiming to know shit. This whole thing has just been speculation and alternative explanations for why Republicans are not doing the very thing they campaigned on and ran on to win.
Something, and Kash Patel is saying something.
Oh, I believe that.
And Dan Bongino is saying something, and Trump is saying
the government
something.
wouldn't lie at him. You're right.
Okay,
The government would never lie.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you don't know. So I have the humility, and I have the capacity to say, you know what? Does this matter? Yeah. Can I control any of this? 0. If Pam Bondi can't control this, and Dan Bongino can't control this, and Kash Patel, who basically platformed himself on this issue, can't solve this, Vinny ain't solving this, homie.
Who said I'm trying to solve it,
You are.
Adam? No, I'm
because
not.
you put yourself out there,
Okay, good.
and you act like you're the authority on this. You're not.
Say, Adam,
and
when you
hold
have those
on,
three
my,
groups.
my final point here is a common theme that we talk about on this show is signal versus noise. To me, this is a whole bunch of noise. You're searching for Bigfoot when I'm trying to get rich and create things in my life.
Great.
So good luck with your search.
I'm trying to make money moves. You guys are distracting me. I'm trying to wake up in the morning and think of what dirt I can get on my enemies and leverage it to make more money.
I have a
and I'm
fast
not and I'm not downplaying the significance of this. I'm saying for most people who are fat, lazy, broke, the people I'm talking about, they're obsessed with stuff like this when they have so many personal issues in their life they can't fix. So they
the worst things you could be: fat, lazy, broke, called the fuck out.
Basically deflect and say,
at this point, dude, just do the soy anti-Semitism shit. You talking down to your audience that you must be like a fat, lonely neckbeard if you're interested in this, which is the majority of the Republican base, is so much stupider.
Epstein. Yeah, but the Tiger King. Yeah, did you see what happened on Game of Thrones? No, I didn't, because I'm actually doing bigger things in my life.
Do you think?
Because I'm actually getting deals done, unlike you children.
So how big are they? So you analyze it and you say there's 3 groups. Okay, of the 3 groups, you say, Adam, what is the percent size of each one? Is it third, a third, a third, as you see it, just as you estimate it? Because you said you broke it into 3 groups you observed.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't done the exact math.
No, but
what
that's
is your
a very
sense?
valid question. What he's asking.
Wait, what?
Because you said, Adam, what is the percent size of each one? Is it third, a third, a third, as you see it, just as you estimate it? Because you said you...
Oh my God, why are we chasing him down this? The question that Tom is asking is how many people are in the Tiger King camp? How many people are in the Game of Thrones camp? How many people are in the House of Cards camp?
Broke it into 3 groups you observed.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't done the exact math.
What
what
is your sense?
I haven't done the exact math on the analogy that I pulled out of my ass to deflect from talking about this.
Question. What he's asking you is, where do you think majority of people in America fall?
What a useless line of questioning. What do you mean? This is a critical discourse we're witnessing.
Podcast. You don't have to get 100% right, but what is your assumption of where people fall?
I would say there's a vast percentage of people who genuinely care about this. Like
more than 50?
I care about this. Like this isn't
group
so
3.
let's be real clear here. This isn't a top 3 issue for me. It may be a top 10 issue. I don't think it's a top 3.
If you're a fucking fat loser.
For most Americans. I think most Americans wake up, they want to work, they have to deal with...
Okay, finally, the first true thing that he said. The extent to which people care about this, it is a highly, highly boutique issue that I assume the majority of people who are interested in it and spend a lot of time thinking about it and looking into it are either like white boomer retirees that make up the MAGA base.
Or the mortgage, the cost of living. They want to deal with their kids. They want to take their kids to school. It's summer right now. They're worried about immigration, the border. I don't think the average person's waking up going, did we find out about Epstein?
So there was a 45-second response.
No, there was a 7-second response.
No, there's no way 7 seconds.
That was.
So what percentage falls in the category of people that care? Either say you can't answer it, we'll move on.
No.
But don't take 2 minutes.
I didn't take 2 minutes. I took 7
what are the
seconds.
3
It just went
categories?
from 45 seconds
Okay, I'm
to
gonna
2
move on.
minutes.
Let me just come back
But
over
no,
here.
but
Fantastic use of time. You feel that Adam's filibustering too much. Let's draw attention to that, scold him for taking 2 minutes instead of 7 seconds, and harp on it even longer before we let him move on. Let's just publicly fucking humiliate Adam. I'm here for it.
reality is, people do care about this.
Okay, go ahead. We're not gonna get an answer.
Like every other episode, PBD like publicly spanks one of these little bitches on his show.
For 30 seconds.
Yeah, Adam, you said so much, and so much of it was bullshit, so I have to kind of process it in my brain, because you think people like me wake up every morning and... No, Adam, I wake up, I listen to 432 Hertz calm, I go to the gym, I do my thing.
I listen to 432 Hertz?
I can walk, Adam, like the average American, walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. I could worry about money.
Dude, the average American, okay, again, we have to give Adam the W. Average American is overweight and definitely not walking as much as they need to.
I could be investing. Tom took freaking 20 minutes of his time this morning to help me with my investments, help me with my stuff. And guess what? I could still think about Epstein. And the thing is, Adam...
The best frequency, binaural beats for alpha males. Yeah, ASMR male affirmation.
Here's the real thing. All the victims that are out there, none of them are in your family. Your nieces, your nephew, none of them were raped. None of them were trafficked, Adam. So I could see where you wouldn't give a shit.
Were they in your family?
No, hold on.
Were they in your family?
You don't care about the kids that much.
No.
I care about the victims.
Bullshit argument.
No, it's not
That's
a bullshit argument. Because, just like when the border, when these illegals rape, hold on, and murder, wait a minute.
So these are the only kids in the world that are dealing with tragedy. It's just these kids.
Dude, Adam loves this. He thinks it's such a fucking Kino move to do whataboutism.
It's not everywhere in the world.
Adam, hundreds
These are the only kids we're going to worry about.
No.
Okay.
Adam, I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Okay.
Because you're like, what about all the other stuff? And guess what? Trump has closed the border, okay? Those rapes and killings, barely even happening from illegals, okay? Tariffs, ICE, everything is kicking ass. The main problem right now is you ran. They all ran on Epstein, Deep State, everybody. We're going to get them. Now that they're here and they're kicking ass on everything else.
Is that what they ran on, though?
Yeah, hell yeah, they did.
Was that their top priority?
How many questions?
Because I'm pretty damn sure it was the economy and immigration.
Adam, and how many times?
Nobody ever said, Trump never said, elect me and I'll be the truth sayer on Jeffrey Epstein.
Bullshit. How many interviews?
Nobody ran on this? He's a moron. He's so fucking stupid. Not only did countless Republicans run on this, they fucking pandered to these people 24/7.
Then you think that was his top thing?
Got into office, continued posting about it.
This is my whole point.
How many interviews?
Is in your mind, this is the number one thing in the world.
How many interviews did Donald Trump sit down and they asked JFK files? Yes. Epstein? Yes. Wait a minute.
No, he said no.
Hang on.
He said no.
Guys, pump the brakes. Let me bring it back.
Pump the brakes.
Okay. When you
boys,
think about
boys.
how many interviews he did where people asked, you're right. Okay. When you're asking what people asked. However, if you go to, Rob, I'm going to send this to you. This is what they call the Agenda 47, okay? And they call this the...
This was like a cousin to Project 2025. Didn't get as much attention.
Agent 47 promise. And this is Trump's promise, okay? Rob, I'm going to send it to you if you can just pull it up and we'll go through it one by one, okay? And these were things that he said he was going to do for the election and what things they focused on, okay? For us, we try to be as fair as possible here. Rob, if you can pull that up. I don't know if you have what I just sent you right there.
What you're witnessing here is fair and balanced coverage.
And by the way, I don't even know what all the 20 are, but let's just kind of pull it up and see what it was. The market asks, and zoom in one by one, let's read it. 20 promised to America. Seal the border and stop the migrant. Okay, number one, he's done it. Number two, carry out largest deportation operation in American history. Hasn't been done yet. No. 30,000, the biggest number in half a decade.
So this is a Newsweek article from 2025. July 15, 2025. These Republicans want more details of handling of Epstein files. A number of Republican lawmakers want more details as the Trump administration's handling of the investigation into disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. As President Donald Trump and the GOP grapple with MAGA's fury over the findings. So who's still, who's like not entirely backing the president? Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though she's a Trump loyalist, still wants all the documents released. So Mike Johnson said, I'm for transparency, but emphasized that he backs Trump and added, it's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. This isn't my lane and I haven't been involved in that, but I agree with that sentiment that we need to put it out there. Bondi needs to come forward and explain it to everybody. Let's get this thing resolved. Representative Eric Burleson, who is in the past expressed faith that the Trump admin would release all the Epstein files, vented his frustration in an X post on July 7th, the day the DOJ put out the memo. But who campaigned on it?
Not there yet, but they're working on it. End inflation and America affordable again. They're working on it. Make America dominant energy producer in the world by far. They're working on it. Stop.
Like, to the extent that I see that Republicans campaigned on it, I mean, Trump did, obviously, but Nikki Haley, J.D. Vance, JD Vance alone saying that he would do it is pretty big, like a pretty big hit against them to act like nobody really ran on this. What the Trump administration has said about Epstein files release. This was July 8th this year. On January 30th of this year, Patel is asked about Epstein files during Senate confirmation hearings. And when asked if he would help expose the people who worked with Epstein, Patel replies, absolutely. I will do everything if confirmed as FBI director to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened. Bondi says the list is on her desk to review. February 26th, Bondi promises a lot of information. February 27th, Trump counsel references criminal charges and a list on Piers Morgan. Alina Habba, counsel to Trump at the time, discusses Epstein files on Piers Morgan Uncensored. We saw this. Then they released phase 1 to the Maga influencers, but that stuff had documents that had already been made public. Bondi says FBI field office withheld files. And then Bondi says she received a truckload of documents on March 3rd. May 7th, the FBI is reviewing tens of thousands of videos with children or child porn. Gross. May 18th, Patel and Bongino say his death wasn't a suicide. This is where like the pivot began. June 5th, Musk accuses Trump of being tied to Epstein. June 6th, he says that he killed himself on Joe Rogan. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge, don't you think we'd see it? And is there a video from the island? Rogan asks, not of what you want, Patel says. Then the statement on Truth Social. DOJ memo says no client list exists, declines to release files, and now we're back to we're back here. But what did Vance say? Hold on. In January 2024, Pam Bondi, now U.S. Attorney General, criticized the federal judge release of unsealed court documents about Epstein. It should have come out a long time ago. If people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant. Then vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance also added to the chorus on Theo Von's podcast in October 2024, we need to release the Epstein list, he said, and Trump shared multiple times during the 2024 campaign he would probably declassify Epstein files if elected.
Are you driving way?
I guess this is where he says that.
Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into many. They're working on largest tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Done. Defend our Constitution, our borough, freedom of religion. Okay.
Just to clarify, because I'm a nerd, A equals 432 hertz was a historical tuning for instruments. We now use 440 hertz, and there's a lot of Maga conspiracies about how 440 hertz music makes people aggressive, and that 432 hertz matches the frequency of the earth and will heal you. If you listen to all of your music at that tuning, oh my god.
Working on it. Prevent World War III.
It's somehow even more fucking harebrained than I thought it would be.
For peace in the Europe, Middle East hasn't been done yet.
Sort of important,
but it's working on it. Yeah. Yes, but
like Vinny, at least, I mean, we know that like apparently he used to do fucking heroin, but don't worry because he's got the right tuning on the frequency of the sounds that he listens to, his lo-fi beats.
Number 8, end the weaponization of government against the American people. They're working on it. Stop migrant criminal epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Crush gang violence and end up. Okay, they're working on it. Rebuild our cities, including D.C., making it safe, clean, beautiful. Working on it. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest. They're working on it. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. Major progress. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts. including no changes to the retirement age. They made a couple changes to it. Some will say 15 million, this, that, but they're working on it. Cancel the.
What was the option 3 theory? What was the strategy he mentioned earlier? I don't even know that he ended up getting to expand on that because they asked him what percentages of what is what.
Vehicle mandate and cut costly.
It was just like the. I think he said the Tiger King people faction and that care about Epstein are just the ones sitting back and like watching popcorn as it happens, and then like the people in like either Game of Thrones or House of Cards actually care.
By the way, that was so. That number 15 is directed to one person,
Elon Musk.
That was a promise that he made. So Musk knew that. Number 16, cut federal funding for any schools pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology. Okay, they're working on it. Keeping out of women's sports, major progress. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses, major progress. Secure our elections, including same-day voting.
So disgusting how they praise this shit.
Working on it. Unite our country by bringing into new and record levels. So here's
who put this list together, Pat?
This is their campaign. This is their team.
And
but
Vinny, number one.
Hang on, I'm going to come to you. Hang on, I'm going to come to you. What I want to say here, Vinny, is two things.
Hold on, Adam. Wait until PBD calls on you.
Because do you think I want to know what happened with Epstein? 100% I want to know what happened with Epstein. But to his credit, that was never his agenda. That was our agenda. That was the voters' agenda. That was the voters' hope.
So now he's trying to gaslight himself and the audience into believing that the Jeffrey Epstein files, like JD Vance, Trump, Maga, QAnon influencers, MAGA influencers, were never pushing that Trump was going to expose the deep state and expose all of the Jeffrey Epstein files and get the client list out there. Okay.
It was the voters' hope to find out what happened here. The biggest screw up is the following. So when we go as a unit, what do I not like? Okay? Like one of the things I don't like is when somebody makes a promise on my behalf. I never made that promise. Wait a minute. No. Hang on. Let's call him right now. Hey, Johnny, did somebody tell you that we said we're going to do this yet? Did I say that or who said that? No, Bobby said that. But did I say that? No. So I don't want you to go around saying Pat said that. Did I ever tell you that? No. Have I ever said that from stage? No. Don't go around telling people I said this. I never made that promise. That wasn't a promise made by me. No, fair enough, Pat. My bad. No, all good. I just want to call you. If I said it, show me the text, show me the email, show me the video. I'm going to keep my commitment. But I never said that. That wasn't our promise. We said we'll work on it, right? I'm on the side that I want to know what the hell is going on here. This is starting to become semi-annoying because when you have momentum, the last thing you need is an issue that wasn't a...
This is annoying to him because it's actually like hurting his brain to have to think about this stuff critically, to try to understand, to try to come up with all of these alternative reasons to explain away Republican incompetence and also deliberate negligence in releasing these files. He has never, like... Neurons are firing at rates that they have not previously done so before for PBD right now.
Issue becomes a number one issue that disrupts the momentum that you're having, that is self-inflicted, that you caused. Pam Bondi caused. Okay? Bongino, Cash. This is a collective effort that they caused, all of them, the entire team. And now, unfortunately, everything rises and falls on leadership. So all of this falls on who?
Trump. Why is that unfortunate? Yeah, unfortunately, Republican politicians have to answer for the choices that they make, their party makes, and their leadership makes.
Trump, period. Because me hiring you indirectly is who? My choice. Yeah. I made the wrong choice or the good choice, the right choice. So you chose to be a president, the shit's falling on you. The way he's approaching this game right now and the way he's trying to handle it, I think he's handling it in a way that's bringing more and more and more and more and more attention. Either move on, but right now the votes, Republicans are...
We just witnessed PBD independently arrive at the Streisand effect.
I say, no, what? Yep. Republicans are saying, don't release this? You better have a good explanation on why you're not releasing. Here's what Tucker had to say about it at Turning Point USA, Rob. If you want to play this clip of Tucker, here's Tucker. Okay, he's at Turning Point USA, and go for it, Rob.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right...
This has to be some, like, Mossad posting from him. I wonder if Adam's going to get mad.
...to ask on who's...
And this also explains why Ben Shapiro is going after him for making this claim. He's like, there's like a video I want to watch next where he's like debunking him for saying this.
...behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been
there it is.
Somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA.
Is Adam pro-Israel? Is he ever?
That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes.
Okay, now are we doing JFK, like Mossad conspiracy posting as well?
It doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interests. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that.
This is this clip right here is where they talk about Bondi and Bongino and the fallout.
Okay, play that one here.
Do you think Dan is upset because his integrity is being questioned now over her mistakes?
Oh my gosh. So you're Dan, and you're a media figure, and you've got one of the biggest podcasts in the country, and you're making tons of money, and you're having a great time, which he was. You just built this brand new studio in Florida. You work with your wife, who you really like, which she does. And you get the call saying you'd be deputy FBI director, and you're like, I love Donald Trump. I love this country. I will, cut my pay by, into a tenth of what it was. And I will leave my house and move to D.C., which is a kind of prison sentence itself.
So
and I will do this because I love the president, I love the country. And you're there a few months, and all of a sudden, everybody thinks you're covering up Epstein's crimes. And it kind of wrecks Dan's career. Like, he can't go back. It's going to be very hard at this point. I mean, things may change, but as of today, pretty hard for Dan to go back to his podcast audience and be like, I'm telling you the truth, when they all think that he's covering up for Epstein. Who did that? Pam Bondi did that. And I don't know that she did it on purpose. I'm assuming not. I don't think she's a mean person. I've never gotten that sense. But for whatever reason, she went out there and said things that were not true, that she could not back up. And then they issued this memo thinking that it would clear everything up.
That was embarrassing.
And I guess they're just so dumb, they didn't realize that if you tell everybody you have the tapes of these crimes and then you issue a memo.
I wonder how long before Tucker Carlson personally calls Daddy Trump again and apologizes for all of these shenanigans.
Saying you're not going to prosecute anybody for the crimes. What are you saying?
That's a very,
I'm covering up for the
Adam, that's the most basic question everybody is upset about.
Sure.
That's the most basic thing everybody is upset about.
That Pam announced something and then retracted her statement?
That somebody on Trump's team made an announcement that...
No, I actually agree with Pisco on this. This is becoming the focal point and the attempt to like scapegoat her to avoid having to hold Kash Patel, Bongino, and Trump and the Republican Party at large for pushing these conspiracy theories, campaigning and saying that they were going to fucking release the Kraken Part 2 when it came to Jeffrey Epstein and not doing it.
Going to do that. And then they're changing the time. You look like
they have some explaining.
Well, Pam didn't make an announcement. Pam got busted.
Caught.
Possibly just here, I don't know Pam personally, and I don't want to be harsh here, but is it possible that she got caught in a restaurant and saying some things, and says, I've told you a million times, just hyperbole. And she got busted saying that. It became a news item overnight, and she walked not to a podium.
Okay, so the hypothesis is, I like Pam, she seems nice, but have you ever considered that she was probably at a restaurant talking hyperbolically? It got picked up by the media, and then everybody's using it against her now. A thing that she said in private, but he's not really denying that she said. What?
White House lawn.
But to the White House lawn and doubled down on what she said. Is it possible that she shouldn't have done it that way? Is it possible?
Is it possible that that even happens?
Now that kind of put a stake in the ground, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we've got 10,000 videos. Now what?
Is it possible that Pam Bondi was at church speaking in tongues and she may have strung together words that sounded like the sentence, I have the Jeffrey Epstein client list and I intend to release them soon. And then that got reported by the media, and it turned out that she was just being hyperbolic and telling lies in private. She wasn't actually trying to tell them publicly. Could be.
I really wonder if she was just...
I really need to know if Pam Bondi falls into the Tiger King, Game of Thrones, or House of Cards faction, though. I really need Adam to weigh in on this.
Talking over the top with somebody, got busted because it was overheard. She's in a public restaurant. Not so bad idea.
He's referencing a news article, right? Why is it like a... I seriously doubt that. These people reference Grok. They reference ChatGPT.
It was hyperbole. Bad idea to be talking in a restaurant. And then you doubled down on the driveway on an impromptu media op at the White House. And here we are. I wonder.
No, Adam, say what you're going to say.
Yes. Say it, Adam.
If we can go back to that list, and that's sort of the center of my entire thesis here, is that I understand why people are frustrated by this. I, too, have watched Game of Thrones.
She was in a restaurant talking to a friend about it. Even if it was picked up as hearsay, it's irrelevant, because then all you're telling me is that, okay, cool, she lies in private. You're trying to frame that as, oh, that's just hyperbole. Just hyperbole. But that's not hyperbole. That's lying.
I, too, watched Tiger King and wanted to know what was next. But my major emphasis is, I don't know. And either do you, homie.
Of course, Adam has to cop to watching reality TV slop from Netflix.
And you can say what you think all you want. And I respect the hell out of that. But I mean this. You don't know.
She was literally at brunch, apparently. Let's see. Pam Bondi spilled Epstein's secrets to random stranger at brunch. I'm going to lose it. I'm not going to lose it, actually. Nope. We're going to be chill. Pam Bondi spilled Epstein's secrets to random strangers at brunch. Days before she announced thousands of videos of evidence in the Jeffrey Epstein case, AG Pam Bondi was secretly recorded sharing the info with a random woman at a restaurant. O'Keefe Media Group, the latest venture of MAGA provocateur James O'Keefe, shared a 15-second clip of the encounter on Thursday. Dude, why did I just know that? Isn't this Project Veritas shit? Am I wrong? Yes, Project Veritas. How these people always have something. It's funny that you have MAGA operatives stepping on rakes and falling for a moron like James O'Keefe's media stunts. In the video, which was apparently shot with a hidden camera, a woman who had just approached Bondi asked, "Do you know when the Epstein files are going to be released?" We hope soon. The FBI has them. Okay, any dates? The woman presses Bondi, 59, tries to ignore her, and keep eating. No, you know what it is, though? There are tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids, so they have to go through every one of them, Bondi says. The video doesn't show what happened before or after those few lines of conversation. O'Keefe, the founder of Project Veritas, has been accused for years of publishing videos that are deceptively edited to misrepresent their subjects. In 2023, he was forced out of the company he founded and sued for allegedly bullying staff and misusing funds. Amazing. Around the same time, he was also the subject of a criminal investigation. For what? Misused donor funds on personal luxuries. If you donated to Project Veritas, you deserve to have your fucking money, mishandled by this guy. What did you think it was going to? Daily Beast reached out to the DOJ for comments. Then Bondi tells the reporters about the videos. See, it starts there, but if he really thinks that she's just doubling down, that's dumb.
And that's okay to say. The hardest thing to do as a podcaster is when Pat goes, "All right, buddy, what's your opinion?" And I go, "Yeah, I don't know on this one. I just don't know."
Yeah.
The humility it takes to say, "Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was CIA.
Well, no.
I don't know if he was
Mossad.
Mossad."
Those are two different things. No, hang on.
Humility.
Adam, I brought this up to give you an argument.
Tiger King had some decent characters already. It was a tale of white trash, right? Multiple people have said that Tiger King is like white trash shit. I never watched it. I just remember hearing that it was inaccurate, that Carol Baskin woman is not really credibly accused, or there's no evidence to suggest that she killed her husband or whatever.
Thank you.
And what I'm trying to say to you is I don't know. None of us know.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
No.
But our friend Vinny here
he doesn't.
just said he did know.
No.
Is my point.
The point is none of us know, but we all have an opinion. If this podcast wasn't without you sharing your opinion, there is no podcast.
Correct.
People are simply watching this to say, Adam's full of shit. I agree with Adam. Vinny's angry. I don't know what Vinny's out of control. You know what? He's the only guy that's the truth. You know what, Tom? I like what Tom. Pat, they get to judge. And they get to talk trash and say good things and say bad, and that's okay. We're talking opinion.
Yes.
Your opinion, which is a very valid opinion, your opinion is he never ran on this.
He didn't run on this.
I know. That's what I'm saying to you. So
Yes.
you can give that opinion.
And that's all I'm trying to
That's
say.
it. I'm with you.
And I'm just mirroring Trump.
But he did run on this.
This wasn't on my top 3.
Also, is it really significant if he never explicitly said or called for the release? If your base is like the most diehard of your base is comprised of QAnon lunatics, Pizzagate conspiracy theorists, you pander to them left and right, and then you install QAnon people in your cabinet. What the fuck does it matter that Trump didn't actually campaign on it? If that's even true, it's not true.
Like, we've had conversations about AutoPen. You know, this was not in my top 10. It's getting closer to my top 3. It ain't there yet. And I acknowledge, you know what? I sort of downplayed the AutoPen thing because there's a lot of sort of domino effects of, I don't know what happened here. It's still not my top 3. But what's my point? Trump never ran on Epstein. He never acknowledged this as like, this is what I'm going to get out there and do. But you and people like you, rightfully so, have said, this is my top 3 and he campaigned on this and this is number 1.
Maybe this spin is the way to go, though, that Trump never actually wanted to do this. Not like Vance made statements on Theo Von's podcast saying that they need to be released and we need to get all we need to have transparency. Just try to gaslight people into thinking this really was something that was a bottom-up movement that the politicians that we worship were kind enough to, signal and say that like, oh yeah, maybe we'll release it, but can't actually blame them because it was our idea.
You made that up in your head because I'm going down this list and I'm also like sarcastically waiting for Epstein to be in the top 20. It ain't even in his top 20 list. Can we acknowledge that? Can you acknowledge that?
Yeah, I could acknowledge it.
Okay, perfect.
But
we're good.
Here's my thing.
But
when you
just
make
say
a
this:
go ahead.
it's in your top 3, but it's not
Adam,
in Trump's
and
top 20.
You know what made it go in the top 3? The freaking lying, the sitting and looking in the camera and bullshitting us, thinking that we're those losers and those idiots that you're talking about. Adam, we're not stupid and we're not fucking losers. Okay.
Trump is correct on this. The reason why they can't get this out of the media is because Trump keeps screaming at reporters to stop talking about it. Trump keeps going on Truth Social and saying, who cares about it? Move on. There's other important things. He keeps drawing more attention to it.
When a promise,
like all roads lead to Trump being a fucking dumbass still. There's no salvaging it. If he never ran on it, then why is he drawing so much attention to it now? It's having the opposite effect.
Comes out of your mouth. I learned this big time with him. You know why? I would say something to one of his kids, Tico, just in a small little passing. Uncle Vinny, can we watch a movie? I say, yeah, Sunday, blah, blah, blah. He would hit me up and be like, Tico's going crazy, asking me where you are because you said X, Y, and Z. When you make a promise, even to a little kid, they want the fucking sorry for my cussing back. So, but let me finish.
I get it.
So when
who made the promise though?
Donald
Trump.
Donald Trump. It wasn't on his campaign promises to the American people list. But Adam, he is on multiple.
The thing that he ran on.
He's on camera multiple
sort of
times.
Important?
Hold on. He's not only on camera
Very
multiple
true.
times.
This is him with the 412 hertz audio, you guys.
Adam, the Cash Patel.
Show me.
I will
show me Trump on camera.
Look, Trump
saying I'm going to get to the bottom of Epstein.
I'm going to get the Epstein list.
Show me that.
All right, let me finish. Let him while he's looking that up. Not only the president, his son. You can find that video. Find the son of the video of Don Jr. and then Cash Patel. How many? On the couch podcast.
Just
hold on,
show me
Adam.
Trump.
I let you talk. Let me finish. He's gonna show you the Trump. And it's multiple here and on podcasts. Which one's the other one? And on CNN. He did it on MSNBC. How many times are you gonna say it? And then the team around you, the Cash Patels, the Dan Bongino's entire thing.
Who do you think knows more on this? You or Cash Patel?
What do you mean knows more about this?
Who do you think knows more about this situation?
that now knows exactly what happened.
He's about to combust. Look at his face. He'll be red soon. Like I said, that shot with cocaine is not him. I don't know.
Covering it
Cash
up.
Patel.
Cash Patel for sure.
Okay, who knows more? You or Pam Bondi?
Pam Bondi has more.
Who knows more? You or
okay,
Dan Bongino?
Can you pull up Cash's
So
tweets?
I'm going to listen to them.
But that's not incompatible with what Vinny's saying. I can't believe he's sticking up for him. But Vinny is demanding that they release it. He's saying that they're covering something up. And Adam is the one saying that, like, they know more than you. And it's like, yeah, Vinny is saying that, and he wants them to release it. He knows that they're not telling the public everything that they actually know. Not only are they omitting things, they're lying about things.
Well, Adam, well, hold on. You know why that's a dumbass argument? What do they know more? Meaning they saw the dirt, Adam, and now they're being quiet. I'm not stupid. Nobody in here is stupid.
Here we go.
You know.
The conspiracy theories just
I'm
aren't
not
true.
stupid.
They have been. It's an honor to serve the President Trump. Donald Trump, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he
And
calls
who
on
tweeted
it.
this?
But, no, but wait a minute.
This is Cash
I'm going to
Patel?
move on. I'm going to move on with this, and I'm going to just finish up with this.
But Vinny disagrees, so
No,
he must be
both,
wrong.
Both of you have an argument. And what's weird is both of you are right. Two people can be right on the same argument. You're right that he never ran on this, and you voted for him. As a guy that's never voted for a Democratic, Republican president ever in your life, this is the first time you ever voted on it, but you never voted on this. So you're being
PBD's blowing their mind right now. Both of you guys are correct.
upfront with the audience. Vinny's also right, because what Vinny's trying to say is, why are you thinking I'm dumb? There's hundreds of clips of many clips of Cash Patel giving a complete opposite argument of that. We're not going to play it right now. We got a lot of other issues to get into. This was a fumble. And Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly, I watched this one as well, where he's like, well, what's the big deal? You know who my resources are? Here's my sources, saying the fact that nothing happened. President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, and then Megyn Kelly's like, well, you can't say that because we can question that. Both are right. Massive fumble. All I'm watching right now is to see how the hell they're going to recover from this coming in. That's all I'm watching. What different methods they're going to come through this part. Let's go to the next story.
Sure.
Let's go to the next story. Next story. I want to get into a little bit of economy here. What was the one story that I wanted to get into?
Amazing sentence. I want to get into a little bit of economy here.
That was Tom. There was one economy. Okay, let's go into ICE. Okay, so his number.
I don't want to do this one. CVS and Walgreens closing 15,000 stores. I don't even need to hear any of this to know it's going to be about shoplifting. Let's hear it.
CVS, Walgreens, Macy's, and dozens more bracing for 1,500 store closures this year amid brutal retail calls and APAC. So this is a very additional. Let me read it one more time to you guys. Everything here.
Adam's like, did you mention APAC?
Read it one more time, Adam.
That's what it sounded like to me, but I don't know what he said.
Close attention. CVS, Walgreens, Macy's, and dozens more bracing for 15,000 store closures this year amid brutal retail calls. The APAC was just somebody wrote it here. It had nothing to do with APAC.
Yeah.
But I got Adam's attention. Let me read it to you guys.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. PBD, why is he just embarrassing Adam today?
Thank you, guys.
So no, because
You're building temples for me.
No. This is
What is this?
This is important.
Is Elmo on the show today,
This
guys?
is important.
What the hell's going on
Let me
here?
tell you
he
guys
actually
why
is.
this is important. This
He's
is very
so
important.
mad.
The reason why this is important is because Adam shops at Walgreens. He gets his clothes from Walgreens. Walgreens has a great
great
section.
sweaters. Great sweaters.
And I don't care what anybody says about it. It's high quality
Guys,
stuff.
I want everybody to feel what I'm feeling right now
site-
and not give a shit what anybody thinks.
A core site research
I want them to publish in the news tomorrow morning that I'm definitely not mad and I definitely haven't been owned.
report revealed that 5,822 stores closed in the first half of 1 year, with John Mercer, CoreSite's head of global research, stating U.S. store closure are up 2/3 compared to 1 year earlier. Damn. Wow. 2/3 just a year earlier? We're not talking 5 years. We're not talking 10 years. We're not even talking about practice. We're talking about a year ago.
Talk about practice.
2/3?
Talk about CVS. Nah.
Damn. While openings are flat. So closures up 2/3 and opening is flat.
Well, PBD.
Predicting up to 15,000 closures in 2025.
Why are you
department stores, Macy's. Well,
I do think it's weird that they just call him PBD and not Patrick.
come to you.
Yeah.
Retail
Not Mr. David.
pharmacy chains, Walgreens, CVS, and bankrupt Rite Aid, which closed over 1,000 locations, are among the high-profile retailers shutting underperforming stores. The closure of pharmacies, including dozens by Walgreens, CVS, have created a pharmacy desert with good RX research, finding that more than 48 million Americans now lack access to a nearby drugstore, up from 41.2 million in 2021. Online competitors like Capsule, Blink Health, Amazon are impacting brick-and-mortar pharmacies due to their delivery methods and convenience. Tom, your thoughts on the story?
Well, once again, I love this. This is Daily Mail picking on the United States. So, from the land of bad teeth, the Daily Mail in the UK wants to talk about us.
Jeez, what is this hate on the Brit-bongers here, this British racism?
Okay, well, check this out.
And you just upset a nice percentage of our audience in the UK.
I-
And their dentists.
That's right.
Tom's an
Adam concerned trolling over this? Are you serious?
anti-dentite.
Tom, give us some.
That's just like, so the UK smile.
That was a cute moment. He said, "You're an anti-dentite," and Vinny was like laughing his ass off at his like dumb dad joke.
Sort of the
Wholesome.
West Virginia of Europe. So these people are saying, oh no, now 41.2 million people don't have access to a pharmacy. Guess what, Vinny? That doesn't mean they don't have access to medication. Because guess what? Capsule.
Because fucking Amazon is putting these businesses, at like these retail businesses and their brick and mortar stores out of business.
Blink Health and Amazon are delivering right now. And Amazon has pharmacy services.
Yeah.
And depending on where you are, you might get that stuff in an hour. Yeah. So you're not lacking access to emergency health services like a defibrillator and a paramedic. They're not lacking access to that. And they're not lacking access to medication. It's just there is a shift in how products are being delivered. Take a look at...
Patrick Bet David is his real name.
The way products are being delivered. I remember the first time I went out and I picked up, looked like just a rectangular box. I was have a shoe box. I picked it up, it was heavy. I said, what is this? I opened up inside it. It was 6 jars of peanut butter, 3 chunky, 3 smooth. I said, Kim, why are we buying peanut butter like this? Because it's Amazon Prime. And we go through a lot of peanut butter this because,
you're white.
Well, Brooke was 2, Bailey was 7, and peanut butter and crackers, peanut butter and sandwiches. We went through a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized it clicked for me. They just delivered this free, and wow. And so what's going on here is we're seeing the shift in the way products are being delivered, but the Daily Mail is choosing to make it sound like that there's terrible things going on in America and people are in pharmacy.
Oh yeah, this was in service of the point that the Daily Mail actually has a bias as like pro-UK and also like anti-America.
Deserts. No. They may not have a pharmacy they can walk down to. And besides, everything would be behind glass doors now. We can say, I need one of those. And the guy's got to unlock
someone pointed out, fantastic retail decision from Walgreens, CVS, all of them doing that to prevent theft.
For it because of looting.
Mm-hmm. Weird.
But people still have access to medication.
Because of looting.
Access to medication. And so, and by the way, that maybe the Daily Mail can focus on those charts that Adam brought up.
This actually wasn't a completely brain dead analysis. I thought he was really going to put a lot of the emphasis on the looting and stuff like that, but he's actually pointing out that those anti-theft prevention measures that they have installed when it comes to like toiletries and deodorant and razors and whatnot may have actually, I'm sure it cut down on theft, but it also had a chilling effect on consumers being willing to take the time to fucking get somebody to open the case for them to buy those products.
Last 10 years, we've doubled while you guys are there.
Thank you for subscribing, Lost Highway.
Don't have the moral authority, Daily Mail, to talk about us and our economy, especially when you're spinning headlines.
Tom's choosing his enemies wisely. He's going with the Daily Mail.
Go ahead. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm just going to simplify this. Is anybody surprised that brick and mortar stores are closing at this point? Every single month, every single year, we talk about more stores closing, more stores closing, more stores closing. This just happens to be the latest victim, which happens to be CVS and Walgreens, and apparently...
Okay, profound. All right, we're going to do the section on... Mamdani doesn't want NYPD responding to domestic abuse calls. Let's see how badly they misrepresent this. Before we even get into that, Mamdani, I know this is already going to be, he probably wants social workers. Domestic abuse calls, NYPD. Yeah, of course, only Fox News gives a shit about this. And the New York Post. Zohar Mamdani said NYPD shouldn't respond to domestic violence calls in resurfaced podcast interview. The 33-year-old Democratic Socialist said that NYPD shouldn't respond to domestic violence calls due to fears of escalation by New York's finest in a 2020 interview on the Immigrantly podcast, as first reported by the Washington Free Beacon. If somebody is surviving going through domestic violence, there are so many different situations that would be far better handled by people trained to deal with those specific situations, as opposed to an individual with a gun who has received quite a limited amount of training in general, but also in regards to these specific situations, the Queen's poll said. Mamdani also noted the NYPD shouldn't similarly respond to situations involving homeless people on the train or jaywalking due to fears of escalation that could have fatal results. The funny thing is that he's actually speaking to something we looked into a couple of streams ago, where I think it was domestic violence situations tends to be the most dangerous for police officers. As it is, it's already a low amount that are killed in the first place because not that many cop deaths even occur in the the 43 officers who were killed while responding to domestic disturbance or domestic violence calls account for roughly 8.5% of the total number of officers killed between 2011 and 2020. Because it says domestic incidents are highly dangerous for police officers. So if they actually knew that, there's still ways to spin this or to see it as this is actually safer for all involved because yeah, the police are not a benign force that you're deploying to a house when there's a domestic dispute. What you're doing is you're escalating. And it might not even warrant that, or that might not be the appropriate authority to call to intervene in a domestic dispute or domestic violence issue.
Mamdani, the stuff that's coming out. One time, I don't know if you saw the story, Rob, or not. There was a story of Mamdani does a podcast about 4 or 5 years ago. In a podcast, he talks about the fact that the NYPD shouldn't show up if there is domestic violence. Why call the cops?
Yeah, why read a statement from him? Just say that he basically said, "Fuck these battered women. You know, deal with it yourself. The NYPD has other things to do."
There's a domestic violence call. Cops shouldn't show up because other people should show up. Well, what do you mean? This is literally a story of 5 years ago. Zohran Mamdani said NYPD shouldn't respond to domestic violence calls in resurfaced podcast interview. Can you imagine that? So, an idea of domestic violence, a woman's being beaten. No, don't call the cops because they don't know what they're doing. Go a little bit lower on the story. Okay, and by the way, this is not that long ago, Rob. If you can go a little bit higher so I can read the story. You skipped all of it. Yeah. Okay, so Mamdani resurfaced that NYPD shouldn't be responsible for domestic violence calls. The Democratic Socialist said 5 years ago NYPD shouldn't respond to it due to calls to fear escalation. If somebody is surviving, going through domestic violence, there are so many different situations that would far better be handled by people trained to deal with this specific situations as opposed to an individual with a gun who has received quite a limited amount of training in general, but also in regards to specific situation. Do you know what is the definition of domestic violence? Can you go to the definition, Rob, of domestic violence? Just type in.
Webster's dictionary defines domestic violence as?
What does domestic violence mean? Okay? What does domestic violence mean? Okay, zoom in a little bit. What it means.
Important.
Domestic violence definition refers to pattern of abusive behavior relation of one party against someone. Okay.
Isn't the alternative to put a social worker in that dangerous position? My understanding of the people that advocate for these sorts of policies is that it's like a team of people. It usually is not just one person. They like assess whether or not they need to even, if there's an immediate threat, if somebody needs to come and intervene in the first place. And then if not, like I can't remember what it, like sometimes they also propose sometimes it's like a cop should show up with a social worker or something like that.
Spouses, romantic partners, family members, but types of domestic violence, physical.
But they do like a risk assessment. The thing is that I'm sure that there are like states in the United States where if you are calling in about a domestic dispute, it doesn't matter if the domestic dispute is literally that you were yelling with your partner or somebody else heard a noise disturbance, they have to send the cops there. And if you talk to the cops, they have to arrest both people. And they have to arrest them for at least 24 hours to separate them. These sorts of policies end up just making things worse for everybody involved.
Use hitting, slapping, pushing, choking.
I know that's ancillary to whether or not like a cop should be there or whatever, but it's definitely an issue that could use significant reform.
Using weapons. Okay. Now, ask the question, what role...
These cancel culture girls are going too far, digging up 5-year-old tweets about handsome men in the public eye. Handsome men that apparently want their sisters and their wives and daughters to just be beaten and no one help them, which is what they're trying to insist.
What role do cops play when it comes down to domestic violence? What role do cops play in domestic violence? Isn't there the word violence in there?
Yeah.
Isn't violence like something that you call cops to protect you from?
Yeah.
And violence means violence, right?
Critical role.
Violence means violence, right?
In responding to preventing and investigating domestic violence, their responsibility can vary by jurisdiction, but generally include the following. Police are often the first responders to 911 calls, 911 calls. Their priority is to secure the scene, protect the victims. They separate the parties. They may help the victim get medical attention, relocate to shelters, other kind of support, evidence collection and arrest, okay?
We've all seen the show Cops
legal
before
follow-up.
when the cops show
This
up.
guy's trying to be the mayor of New York City, and he makes comments like this. However,
Adam piping in to be like, we've all seen Cops, right?
there's a city in Florida called Palm Beach.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, that wants to cash in on the Mamdani effect, okay?
He called it a dispute, not violence. Yeah, that's the other thing that he said, right?
That wants to keep that.
Like when he was asking Grok, did he ask it?
Can you go to the definition, Rob, of domestic
What did he ask
domestic
it?
violence?
What does domestic violence mean?
Definition refers to pattern of abuse of behavior. You call cops to include the following. Police are often the first responders to 911 calls.
He is assuming that cops prevent crime when they just respond to it.
911 calls. Their priority is to secure the scene, protect the victims. They separate the parties. They may help the victim get medical
A significant amount of those calls are not violent. Cops shouldn't be responding to those. It's a waste of their time and unhelpful for everyone involved. Yeah.
attention, relocate to shelters, other kind of support, evidence collection and arrest. Okay.
We've all seen the show
legal
Cops before
follow-up.
when the cops show
This
up.
guy's trying to be the mayor of New York City, and he makes comments like this. However, there's a city in Florida called Palm Beach.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, that wants to cash in on the Mamdani effect. Okay? That wants to cash in on the Mamdani effect. So what is the Mamdani effect? Palm Beach County Business Development Board is actively courting New York City businesses, sending 500 relocation packages.
There's 22 states that have mandatory arrest laws, meaning officers must make an arrest when responding to a domestic violence call. These are terrible policies.
To CEOs and executives, as socialist Mamdani leads polls with 35% against Cuomo 29, Curtis Silva 16, and Mayor Adams 13.8, the board's president and CEO told Palm Beach Post, the second the results came out, my phone started lighting up. She added, it's a good thing we are very nimble. We can act quickly and strike when the iron is hot. John Boyd, who runs a Boca Raton-based company aiding corporate relocations, warned the Mamdani effect, stating, here's something one of my clients shared. Even if Mamdani is stopped in November, the idea that New York is one election cycle away from becoming a socialist-run city creates an enormous risk for companies. Polls indicate Mamdani leads after defeating Cuomo in Democratic primary. Boyd noted the perception could drive business and wealthy residents to Florida regardless of the election outcome. Tom.
Gabby Petito would have lived if her boyfriend was arrested at the time. I don't like to craft policy surrounding like high-profile individual instances of stuff like this, because you end up just like, it might have worked in that specific situation, but unless there's data that shows that it's like more than likely going to lead to a more positive outcome in the majority of instances, there's no need to craft policy around that one specific one.
This is wonderful. This is
They exist for a reason. I'm not saying that the intention is stupid. I'm saying that the outcome is not. The intention is noble, but I'm saying it's not the most effective way to de-escalate DV situations.
Startup mentality and capitalism at work. This is when Pat and I went
Most of the time the reasons is lobbyists. I don't even know if it's lobbyists, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like different DV or like women's advocate groups or whatever that were trying to be more aggressive on like the primary aggressor in the domestic situation.
To a conference that was put on by a business organization. And at that conference, we met the mayor of Frisco, Texas. And by the way, this conference was roughly 1,000 miles from Frisco, Texas.
Aaron, one day in jail for a DV call seems smart, even just to let people cool down. You should not bring charges every time, but a mandatory arrest seems fine. One, that you don't, to have the separation between those two parties, you definitely don't need to resort to putting those people in jail. Two, what constitutes domestic violence in different areas can sometimes be just like screaming matches. That's already crossed the threshold into being a domestic dispute. Like,
So
no,
if
I don't think that because you got into a screaming match with your boyfriend or whatever, that if if like a neighbor hears it and calls, that you need to be arrested and held for 24 hours. Waste of time.
Like he was in his home backyard. Hey, welcome to Frisco. How you doing? Can I get you a beer? No, we were hell and gone from Frisco. But he was saying, hey, we're out here to promote the fact that we have economic development packages, blah, 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 blah. This is also the governor of Texas, Perry, was running billboards in California. Does this state suck? Here's one that doesn't, right? You know, come to Texas. And by the way, they all flipped out. California flipped out because guess what? California may be liberal, but the guy that owned the billboards was a capitalist. You have a check? You have a message? Okay, we have a deal. And so now Palm Beach County is like, well, okay, we have 500 relocation packets going up to people, and we've got the local real estate people saying, wow, things just picked up over the weekend. Guess what? New York is about to shoot itself in its other foot. It shot itself in the foot with COVID and what it did in COVID and how people were upset by that and people fled New York and left at that time. Now it's going to shoot itself in its other foot because a guy whose religious beliefs are such that if you're involved with domestic violence with your wife, that's okay because you own her. And
Remember when he said that? Remember when Zoran Mamdani said that if you're involved in a domestic dispute with your husband and you're a woman, it's okay because he's in charge of you? I remember that.
Sharia law, I don't have
Sharia law. Yeah, Sharia law mandates this. Also very true.
Subject to a cop.
Wow.
It says, she burnt my toast. You know, one slap, good morning, 2 slaps, I love you. You know, there's a whole rate card
Tom,
here that goes in this.
What you mentioned something about Sharia law. What's Sharia law? I'm starting to hear this thing pop up from time to time. Describe what that is, if you don't mind.
That is an independent set of laws of people of the Islamic.
Is Adam just going for the throats, trying to embarrass all of these fucking jokers because they've been dunking on him the whole episode? Because he knows that Tom's not going to be able to define what the fuck Sharia law is.
Faith, who believe that, they should be self-governed separately.
Okay. So is there a separation between church and state or mosque and state under Sharia law?
They believe that law is...
Oh, no. Kill me, Adam. I was just about to give you a fucking dub. You're actually trying to help him build his point after he's being racist as fuck. Give me a break.
Above the law of any jurisdiction they're living in, because the laws of the infidels or the jurisdiction of a country which is run by infidels is second to their laws.
Interesting.
So these dumbasses are whining about this. Meanwhile, they elected Donald Trump, who's in bed with Christian nationalists, who explicitly have this goal to erode separation of church and state to establish a Christian nation in the United States.
I hear this pop up from time to time now. The Sharia,
Not Sharia law, but the stuff they're describing sounds like the things that Christian nationalists are calling for. Yep.
Law thing and this jihad thing. What other countries in the world practice Sharia law currently?
Pick any of them that surround.
Or we'll leave out that Adam's a massive simp for Israel. Israel is was founded as a secular state, but has had since highly religious leaders that have influenced state policy.
But Tom, you can be right, because what ChatGPT says is Sharia law is to practice compassion. Go a little bit lower, Rob. No, you just had it.
Where?
Right there. It says it's meant to promote justice, compassion, and moral behavior.
Oh, okay.
It is interpreted differently depending on the country and the school of thought, Sunni and Shia and the legal scholar. So,
which countries are using it the most, Rob?
Can I ask a question too? But can you?
Where did this come from? The Islamic Republic of Iran uses that. Interesting.
But can you?
There's no separation of church and state or mosque and state.
Is there any state? Is there any?
In Iran?
Is there any?
So, are you saying that Zoran Mandani wants to implement Sharia law and infuse communism in New York?
My wife burnt the toast under Sharia law. You'll find out.
Oh, here it is. In Afghanistan under Taliban control, they practice it. That's nice. Okay. Sudan, where I think I don't know, hundreds of thousands.
Oh wait,
of
look
people
at
have died
Afghanistan
recently.
Bullet 2. We read that one, Adam.
Yeah.
You're very interested in learning about
Bullet
this. How
2,
about
yeah.
Afghanistan Bullet 2?
Yeah, includes bans on female education beyond grade 6, public beatings, and morality police enforcement.
Oh, they do have police.
That's
Wait a minute.
So
I thought
that's the
ChatGPT
women.
says compassion.
Well, this is compassion. They let them go up to grade 6.
Can you ask ChatGPT?
Up to grade 6.
I thought you said compassion. Does point number 2 on Afghanistan represent compassion?
Yeah.
Let's see what ChatGPT
I did
says.
have compassion. I'm lucky I didn't kill you.
And just
I'm not
FYI,
going to sit here as a red-blooded American, have you condemn Sharia law.
Well, first of all,
it may come to America.
No,
we better be ready for it.
No city is,
Vinny,
or ever will be, because
you
guess
need to
what?
He sounds like a delusional, like boomer grandpa that's fear mongering about fucking Sharia law.
A little bit more
Guess
inclusive
what you have to do? They
and
have
receptive to new ideas.
The Constitution would have to be overthrown.
No, I don't know about
so
that.
So guess what?
Why were you?
Good luck. And you know what the crazy thing about all these places, Adam? About all the UK and everywhere?
Constitution would have to be overthrown. Definitely not like Donald Trump is in violation of different aspects of the Constitution. Nothing's being done about it because the Supreme Court sides with him on everything. Ignoring federal injunctions.
Guess what, buddy? Second Amendment. Nobody talks all that shit and does any of that shit. But listen, little Mamdani with his fake ass smile could talk all the shit that he wants and how Sharia law and all these. No city is there. No, unless they literally overthrow this place. Ain't going to happen, brother.
Why don't Vinny,
we got guns?
Wait,
why don't you just be a little bit? Hold on.
Are
why
there
don't you just
Sharia
be
law
a
courts
little
in the United States?
more receptive?
Are there Sharia? What do you mean?
Vinny.
Why aren't you just? How come you can't just be more terrified of this thing that has a 0% chance of coming to the United States?
Oh, they're in Dearborn and Minneapolis.
You're saying it's not possible to happen here?
No, but
Vinny, why don't you just be a little bit more receptive to something new?
Is there any city here under Sharia law in the United States? Is there any city?
What's wrong with it?
Rob, I'm just curious. And Rob, ask this: is there any city here, number one, under Sharia law? And what would it have to take to actually have a city under Sharia law?
But what's wrong with it?
No, but I'm curious, Vinny. I'm really curious.
Yeah,
you don't think it's possible for it to happen here?
No,
I love how they're trying to pigeonhole Vinny, being like, you guys are stupid. There's not a chance of this happening in the fucking United States. You can't show anywhere that's established fucking Sharia law, even at a municipal level, and you're talking about it being mandated at the federal level. And they're like, oh, so you love Sharia law?
Saying it's no, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is they would have to overthrow the Constitution of the United States.
Ah, you just get a mayor there in New York.
That's what I'm
Can
saying.
you do me a favor and play the clip I just sent you, Rob?
The mayor of New York City is going to establish Sharia law in the United States. That's all you need.
I just sent you. It's becoming more and more and more evident.
Christian nationalists and religious Zionists state this one secret.
What the motive is.
The one secret they don't want theocratic Muslims to know. Just become the mayor of New York City. Boom. Sharia law established in the United States.
Religious laws.
And trust me, the community that doesn't think it's possible, they will be in 20 years having a very different tone. I want you to watch this here. Okay? Go ahead, Rob.
Through Congress. So before it was by the sword.
Watch this TikTok, Vinny. Surely you'll change your mind after this.
Getting themselves into parliament and then making laws that act as the sword, the Islamophobia law in Canada, M103.
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only two things which are open to our movements. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
I used to say that democracy is haram. Now I say participation in democracy is our jihad. That's our jihad. We're going to fight not through the
bullet. Like contextless clips of all of these Muslims stitched together. You're supposed to be scared of this, apparently. How much clearer do they need to make it for us, America, for U.S. America? We have two options in how to implement Sharia in America. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
Ballot and voting is now an obligatory action, fard ayn, and it is a jihad that is now needs to be done because this is our modern jihad. You can elect a person who wants the Sharia.
Because in the United States, what we do know is that in the past election, just this last...
To be fair, I told my Jewish friend it was impossible for Nazis to take over. But why? I ended up being wrong at the time. Nazis are unpopular losers who cannot work together. People like that never become successful. If Nazis get into power, anyone can get into power. Like, this is like... I mean, you were wrong about that specific instance or whatever. But the difference is that, like Vinny said, you don't have examples of, like, prominent Muslim politicians that are interested in establishing Sharia law in the United States. You can't even point to one area where they have.
Election.
And they can't point to any sort of, like, grassroots, like, counterinsurgent movement that's attempting to do this.
Over 800 Muslim candidates running for office.
Bingo.
We may end up.
It's like it's more rational to say that the fucking chops are like the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, the Chaz or whatever it's called, that those are going to start popping up all over the United States because it happened one time than there is to say that Sharia law is like imminent.
50 members
if Zoran Mamdani wins.
In the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling.
Nazi cannot take over USA. They would be arrested. Male Rights USA, I'm like this close to banning you. I'm this close to fucking banning you. If you keep putting low IQ shit in my chat. Please stop.
The system of injustice is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Oh, what's that was very aggressive.
Zach wanted to make sure you got the point.
Those are politicians that are running for office in Muslim countries in the Middle East?
And there are Sharia law courts in America.
Where are those people located?
Used by the people of those communities.
I genuinely can't tell what Adam's angle on this is. I can't tell why he's asking, like, he's doing the, like, jacking off thing. If it's in service of pointing out how stupid the position is or trying to reinforce it. I can't tell.
Other than U.S. courts and resources.
But those politicians, I want to be very clear here. Where were those people located? That they were in the Middle East? Or were they in America?
That's all America there.
Oh, that was in America. Okay.
Adam, I'm sensing you're being sarcastic. What I'm saying is anything's possible, but good luck.
Are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that certain
they're jumping down his throat because he's saying this is improbable?
Hardcore extremists, maybe Muslim Sharia.
Why won't you just say that Sharia law is about to be established in the United States?
Advocates are trying their best to do that in America and in Europe.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
In Europe, they're being very successful.
Mobius 636. Thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to my favorite chatter, Male Rights USA. And thank you for subscribing yourself at tier 1. I appreciate it.
You're saying they've done it already in Europe?
This is random, but can I donate for a scary game stream? I don't know how to play any games. I only know how to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, unfortunately.
Europe, yeah.
Are you trying to tell me there's certain cities in Europe that have been overrun with extremists?
What's the difference between
Stop it,
what's the
Vinny.
difference
I don't
between UK
believe
and the
it.
United States?
Do you have videos of this?
What's the difference between the UK and the United States?
We got a Second Amendment. I don't know.
I know. I guess I'm not saying they're not going to try. Good luck. But bring that war to us.
Here's actually what I'm okay with. I'm actually not even joking here. It's okay. They could do it here if we could do it there. So there's a lot of Christians and Jews running for office in Muslim-run countries, right?
I don't know. You tell me.
Let me just show you something.
Oh, there's zero?
Not exactly.
There's zero?
Can you show this next one, Rob? Go ahead and
That's
play
a
this
double
next one.
standard,
This is
if you
from
ask
Muslim
me.
Brotherhood from 1990.
This is
okay.
The same Muslim Brotherhood
from 1990.
that is the...
okay.
It looks like the same clip.
No, it's not, Rob. Maybe I sent you the same clip, but it's a different one. I'll send it to you. Give me 1 second. So this is a lady from Muslim Brotherhood in 1990, casting the vision. That's 35 years ago.
Let her speak.
You got to give respect to long-term thinkers.
Who, Ilhan Omar?
No, it's the one I just sent you here. No, it's not Ilhan Omar. I just sent it to you.
Rashida Tlaib?
No, it's old.
So
He's like naming all the Muslims he can think of.
Going to become a real issue very soon because momentum hasn't yet reached levels of exponential growth, but they're going to get there. Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip.
Melting pot. We do not want to melt into American society and disappear.
They played this last time. There was something that I watched recently where this got played in service of this exact same point.
We want to go into American society with Islamic ideals and
Roller Coaster Tycoon can even run that game on modern PCs. Yes, you ever heard of Steam? It's on Steam.
revamp their thinking. We want to revamp them. We want to turn them into Muslim individuals. We shouldn't have feelings of
This caption's amazing. You want to do what now? Her stated goal plus their current actions equals sedition. Well, this was given that this was filmed in 1990, and you're just now getting around to fear-mongering about it. It doesn't seem like it's really been a successful grassroots movement. They all need to be removed from this country and sent to a country where they can practice their religion without undoing the very fabric of American society. Then this top comment with 115 likes and heart emojis and America flag emojis. Destroy it. They've infiltrated us out loud, but also very, very quietly. Wow, it's almost like the enemy is at once very weak and very powerful at the same time. America has to stand together. Europe is overrun. We can't let that happen here. Heart emojis.
a distaste for them or intolerance because they're potential Muslim. Education is one of the most important areas that Muslims have to address. And while our objective, our final objective, is not just to become part of the system that we experience now and that we see, our objective, our final objective, is to create our own Islamic systems, and not only create Islamic systems for Muslims, but to look at all the other people who are sharing this country with us as potential Muslims. And in that long-range process of making America Muslim, all of America Muslim, American melting pot, we do not want...
You can pause it right there.
Interesting.
Whoa, no way. Someone part of a massive religion wants to continue recruiting people into that religion. They're even considering trying to find a state apparatus to allow them to do that. It's not like anybody in the United States has ever thought to do that with any other religion.
It's almost like they're telling us what they want to do.
The vision is clear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The vision is clear on what they're coming to.
Do you believe them, though?
We'll think 35, what was it, 1990? So 35 years later, Mamdani's going to try to be the mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Try to be.
Wait till he learns about Mormons.
I think he's going to 90.
Wait till he learns that a Mormon almost became the president in 2012.
He's got such a big lead. Is this what is this about?
Mark Halpern stated.
Or I guess, sorry, a Latter-day Saint.
Mamdani has about an 85%.
Go ahead, Rob.
That's correct.
President Trump calls him Mamdani the commie. I just want to ask you, shrewd political
Does he? Does he call him that?
guy that you are.
Oh, wait, yeah, he does. But that's lamer than call me Mamdani. That would be smoother.
Can Mamdani be beaten here in New York?
Not today. There was some opposition research dropped on him, and if there's something that's akin to a silver bullet against a communist, maybe. But barring that, I think he's got an 85% chance of being his honor come next year.
Wow. All these, I'm going to come to Byron on in a second. All these, big shots, financiers, are creating PACs, to beat him. But there are some that are sort of sucking up to him also, so it's a two-way street. So does that matter? I mean, you have the New York Post on a daily basis and other publications on a daily basis.
Guy's constantly drunk, BTW.
Heaven forbid, even commentators like myself, ripping him apart, taking him down, and particularly the law and order issue. So, but you're saying right now he's the winner right now. The voter today, Mark Halpern says he's the winner.
Oh, yeah, Larry, you can be really good at making money.
Smug, what are you yapping about? I think that existing arbitration laws, appropriate protections for agreements made under duress, and the lack of... What are you talking about?
Really stupid about politics, and I think the fundamental mistake they're making... I've met a donor or two who doesn't know much about politics, but think they do. Maybe you have as well. The problem is they don't have a candidate. Tip O'Neill said...
Sharia councils in the UK. Oh, you guys got Sharia law there?
All politics is local, and people say that's the first rule of politics. It's actually
Donnie's trying to bring that to New York City, apparently.
the second. The first rule of politics is you can't beat someone with no one. Mayor Adams, which is where most of our wealthy colleagues and friends are putting their money, look at the polling, look at the data. These are folks who make money in business looking at metrics and data.
Right there, Rob. You can pause it right there. They don't, they don't have a candidate right now to go up against them. Even Chris, who is the Republican candidate.
There's two candidates. There's Eric Adams, who you just fucking interviewed, PBD. Did you fucking fall and smack your head on the fucking concrete? How do you not remember that? He's still running. Also, Andrew Cuomo.
To talk to every one of these guys. They don't have a real candidate right now. Curtis Silva, yeah. Sliwa.
He's sort of been like an ongoing perpetual
He's been around for a while.
Republican
Yeah, but it's a
candidate.
different story today.
Can't trust any beret.
And Anthony,
can't trust anybody that wears a beret all day and it's red.
Andrew Cuomo said that he's not dropping out of the race.
I do think it's funny he wears that beret.
Yeah, he's going independent.
So he's
Right.
like purposely trying to
He purposely
get
wants to
elect
usher in
Mamdani
this, right? I mean, if you think
elected.
about it, thank you, Adam. Great point. If you're
Well, the
being
only way
that
that
guy,
they're going to win is if it's a head-to-head race.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So
is
now you're
what-
going to basically just cannibalize each other's votes.
Yeah, but what is like? What
Is
is
it something
what
that-
is Andrew's goal? Like, what are you trying to do?
I don't know.
Run
Is
interference because all you're going to do is help the other guy. You're going
Is
to
this a
help.
message from him?
Yes, this is the announcement yesterday that he is running as an independent for the
Okay.
New York City mayor race.
Hello, I'm Andrew Cuomo.
Hey,
and
forget
unless
about
you've been
it.
living under a rock, you probably know that the Democratic primary did not go the way I had hoped.
Cuomo's got like Ozempic face.
To the
We heard.
440,000 New Yorkers who voted for me, a sincere thank you. Thank you for believing in me, in my agenda, and in my experience. And I am truly sorry that I let you down. But as
Probably hurt Adams in the general. We'll see. I hope so.
my grandfather used to say, when you get knocked down, learn the lesson and pick yourself back up and get in the game. And that is what I'm going to do. The fight to save our city isn't over. Only 13% of New Yorkers voted in the June primary. The general election is in November, and I am in it to win it. My opponent, Mr. Mamdani, offers slick slogans, but no real solutions. We need a city with lower rent, safer streets, where buying your first home is once again possible.
You can pause it right now. I'm just, the Mamdani effect is truly motivational energy. The young guys, that are going after, to be run. There's nobody like that they're excited about.
Nope.
You know what's a great documentary to watch? I just watched Roger Stone's documentary. Have you seen it?
Yeah, love a good Roger Stone joint. Thanks for the recommendation, Patrick.
Get me Roger Stone.
First time I had him on, I watch it, but I watch it again. I think for anybody that has interest in politics, they should watch this documentary. It is such an insightful documentary.
Yeah.
I watch it
I
many
feel like it should be illegal though. LOL. If you registered in a primary and you lost, you shouldn't be able to still run as an independent. I don't know, honestly. I don't know how I feel about that. Apparently, Zoran. Let me just look into it now. Zoran Mamdani plans on running in general under like Working Families Party. Is this even true? There were people calling for it. Many expect Zoran Mamdani to take the Working Families Party line if he loses to Cuomo. That's far from a sure thing. He could run in the general as the candidate of the Working Families Party, but he and the DSA don't bother with unwinnable races. This is June 24th. Mamdani has so far declined to say publicly whether he plans to run in the general if he loses the Democratic primary. I'm focused on June 24th, he repeatedly told Teteo's Mehdi Hassan in an interview earlier this month. And then Cuomo had confirmed he would run. This was like before it happened. I don't know how I feel about it.
many years ago.
watched
First
it
time I had
twice.
him. Yeah. If you watch it, it gives you insight in the political.
He was kind of evasive in answering it. Yeah, I guess like not giving a firm no or whatever tells me that he was probably considering doing it.
Game as a sport, what it's like. And there's so many lessons in there about the rules, different talents, different individuals. Nothing you see, everything that he talks about, the people have on the Mamdani side, not the opposite side. Yeah. I mean, I had Adamson, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, okay, a little bit more. Can you give me some? It's like, give me some. It was just a lot of, you can tell the answers were the same answers he's given hundreds of times. Yep. There was nothing about it where I'm like, I want to run through the wall for this guy. Mm-hmm. And you want to see somebody else.
Dude, he gave him like the fucking, just like this softball interview the entire time. And he comes away with it like a negative impression. Like he wasn't in control, editorial control the entire time to ask him whatever questions he wanted, the most difficult pressing questions, because Eric Adams only went on that show because he knew he really wouldn't get any pushback. And now he's like, he didn't really impress me. He's like, dude, what? I assumed he was in the bag for him because realistically, that Republican's not going to win. The only person that has it, like the most far right person that has a chance of defeating Zoran is Eric Adams. So why didn't you give him like a better interview then? I don't know. It's weird.
But unfortunately, it looks like New York is going in this direction.
So neither Adams nor Andrew Cuomo are getting the groundswell support from the people.
Nope. No, listen, let me tell you. In
Personality matters. Some people like dogs.
Insurance, right? There's a difference in a person that builds like a corporate executive. I'll never forget one time we have a meeting and my 5 new executives that I hired, all C-suite, they all came in and they found out how much my insurance guys were making. And I don't know if you remember this meeting or not. They're like, hey, are we really paying that guy $1.5 million a year? Are we really paying that person $800,000? And they're all making between $200,000 to $300,000, $200,000 to $400,000. I said, yes. Well, I mean, listen, the stuff that we do and and I think this and I said, oh, really? Yeah, for sure. Oh, okay. All right. So you think you guys should deserve to get paid? Well, I mean, maybe not as much, but I mean, look at the stuff that we do. And I said, oh, no problem. I said, let me ask you, what time do you come into the office? 8 a.m. When do you typically leave? If I was to go up and look and see what time you leave. 6 o'clock. So you work 8 to 6. Yeah. All right. What time were you here Saturday? We don't work on Saturdays. What time were you at the office on Sunday? What time were you in the office last Saturday? When's the last time you were in on a Saturday? We don't come Saturday. We work Monday. Oh, okay. Let me call a few guys. And I started calling a bunch of my guys. I said, what appointments do you have tonight? What's your last appointment tonight? 10 o'clock at night. What was your first appointment today? 8 a.m. What's your schedule look like on Saturday? 8 o'clock, I start at the office training till 12 and I have appointments all night till 8 o'clock. What are you doing on Sunday? I got 2 conference calls and I got 2 client appointments.
Busy.
I said, okay, how about next week? Walk me. So, Pat, is everything okay? I said, no, you're good. Trust me. I'm trying to tell the executives here, you're on speaker, what your sales schedule look like. Then I called the next guy and the next guy said, you guys want to make 1.2 million? Go run their schedule if you want. What's the point here? Cuomo, if he wants to win, he's running like a corporate executive. And Mamdani
has to tie it back to always has to tie it back to some stupid business analogy.
Running like a guy that's going and winning votes. You ain't going to beat him. Now, none of these guys are going to beat him if they don't run like that. To win an election at the mayoral level, you got to work like a freaking psycho. Day to day, shaking hands. How you doing? Coffee shop. The magic at this level is to be seen at 50 different locations at the same time. You know when was the first time, Tom, you and I were on the phone till 3:30 in the morning when Trump won 2016. That's right. And that one time when you're like, Pat, did you see what New York Times just said? Did you see what New York Times just said? Did you see this? I think it's happening. I think it's happening. We're on the call. We're like, what the fuck? Did this just really? You're looking at Trump's face. He can't believe he won.
Yeah.
He's on stage. He's like, I thought I was 80% down today. Hillary was supposed to. The look on his face on stage is the best look on his face.
Antipsychotic for real. There's no other kind from PBD.
Because he himself didn't think he was going to be the president. Boom, he's a president. She's conceding. Everyone's crying. It's game over. But there was a moment when I said, this guy's got a chance of killing Hillary. And you know when it was? It was when I saw Trump was doing 6 rallies in a day and Hillary was doing 1 every 3 days.
Wow.
And I watched the way Trump campaigned. I said, good luck beating that guy. Go ahead. Campaign like him. Yeah. Kamala, you can't.
Doing lots of rallies equals electoral success when it comes to a presidential election? Absolutely not. I wish it were that simple. It has way more to do with the fact that Trump got $1 billion in free advertising from legacy media.
Campaign like him.
And the fact that Hillary Clinton was a uniquely flawed candidate who's unpopular.
You can't campaign like him. Biden, you can't campaign. The only way Biden beat Trump.
PBD stares in the mirror, tells himself positive business affirmations. He does that while listening to, his 420 hertz binaural beats or whatever.
In 2020 is because Pfizer waited 3 days after Biden went to announce that the vaccine was ready, that the warp speed project that Trump had in place, whether you're pro or not, I've never taken a vaccine, the COVID vaccine. I never took it myself. My wife didn't, our kids didn't. But that was a big thing that was going on that the left got.
The way he had to, tried to praise him for Operation Warp Speed, immediately remembered, oh shit, I have an anti-vax audience. Biden took credit for this vaccine. The vaccine that I didn't take, by the way, because I don't really believe in vaccines. Didn't let my daughter or my wife take them. But Trump didn't get credit for it.
The victory that they got it done. Now, Trump, so many different things could have changed when he lost in 2020. And
so just self-own. If it's a Trump vaccine, why didn't you take it?
And go through the whole conversation. If you want to win it, Cuomo, Adams, whoever, you got to campaign like your life depends on it. You're not campaigning like that. Videos are not going to win elections right now. You got to be seen like you're at 50 different places. Mayor of New York City, let's see who's going to outwork the other guy. The guy's 33 years old, hungry as F, going lights out with a terrible idea, but a terrible idea driven 100 hours a week, nonstop, 24/7, relentless, is going to destroy you. I had a call with a very powerful person at the DOD last week while we're in the Hamptons. I stepped away and I had this call. And we're talking about Reza Pahlavi, okay? And, the individual that is trying to bring, certain things to Iran. And he said, this is
the individual that's trying to bring certain things to Iran?
Not a job for somebody that has a 3 o'clock appointment to golf every day and a 4 o'clock appointment to play chess with the kids and a 5 o'clock appointment. No. This is a job of somebody that has to be 24/7 full time. This is not for everybody. You ever watch Trump's schedule and ask yourself, do you work like that? The average person, if you watch Trump's schedule,
What Trump's schedule of like playing golf,
do you work
watching Fox and Friends? No, I don't think most people work like that.
like that? Can you work like that? Do you drive like that? 24/7 cameras are on you, and he shows up in a suit every single time. How often do you wear a suit? The average person listening to this.
Wow. We're really at the point where we're praising Donald Trump for being able to get up, put both shoes on his feet, and get himself dressed. Good job, Donald.
You wear a suit.
Art of the
How
deal.
long does it take you to wear a suit? How long does it take you to put on your tie? How long does it take you to put on the cufflinks? How long does it take you? Imagine a condom. How often do you like to be under limelight pressure? This morning, I'm talking to my trainer. He's training a
You
baseball.
think it's so easy being president? You try waking up and putting a suit on every day. You try having clean underwear 7 days a week. It's not fucking easy.
A player who was supposed to be a phenom came into the major leagues. The first 20 games, he hit 400. Everybody thought this was going to be the next big star. He trains here in our building. Nice guy, very good guy. You would know who the name is. But the moment he went through a slump, the internet attacked him nonstop on Twitter. And that attack in the comment section on Twitter messed with his head that he got out of baseball. This guy was supposed to make a few $100 million. Got out of baseball. Now, you want to go in the game, Cuomo's got the right pedigree that he knows what it is to get attacked. But if you want to win, you got to get to work. I don't think anybody in New York is going to be working like Mamdani. I think Mamdani is working like his life depends on it. I think everybody else working like
Yeah, because he doesn't have another job. He doesn't have anything else to do.
But you have to realize, when you work like your life depends on it, that is a formidable opponent. Everybody else is working like their resume deserves them to be in there. Life doesn't give you the job and the dream that you want based on your resume.
Did you see that clip of? I know you. Did you see it? Kevin O'Leary talking about Steve Jobs as
Yeah, of course.
hustle and work.
Signal and noise and all that
How
stuff.
crazy he was
Yeah.
like the 18 hours,
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
that I sent it to. We don't have to see it.
No, I've seen it. It's a great clip. But the point is, they got to work like that. You don't want to
hard.
work like that?
Favorite Kevin O'Leary clip of mine.
Like, you think Rogan got up there by luck?
No.
You think Trump got up there by luck? Nope. You think Michael got up there by luck? You think DeSantis, who's a governor in Florida, coming up middle, you think he got there by luck? Of course, we know the controversy with he.
It's not luck. It's corporate donors. You're right.
You think he got there by luck? You think Megyn Kelly got there by luck? You think Tucker got there by luck? You think Rock got there by luck? You go to any one of these guys.
Until The Rock, I'm pretty sure he had named exclusively like all white people.
There's a phase of your life where you're working literally like a slave for a couple decades. And if you want to do it again, you got to do it again now. I just don't see anybody in New York that's going to be willing to work that hard. I don't. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah. So most likely, New York.
Seems like nobody wants to work.
That guy's going to get elected. And guess what's most likely going to happen? You think
mass exodus to Florida?
Oh, bro. But people are like, well, Florida's going to be flatlining and all this other stuff. Here's the best way to judge Florida. If you believe New York is going to change policies anytime soon, don't invest into Florida. Bless you. If you think New York's policies going to continue being shittier, guess what? Florida still got plenty of room to improve and grow as a economy and as a market. I want to go to the next story here, the one about the shooters that we haven't gotten into. You know which one I'm talking about. Secret Service officials were aware of classified threat 10
Okay, this is the assassination attempt.
days before the Butler assassination attempt, failed to tell agents guarding Trump. Rob, I think you got a clip on this one as well. The Government Accountability Office, GAO report, revealed that the senior-level Secret Service officials failed to share classified threat information with agents protecting President Trump on July 13, 2024, Butler, Pennsylvania rally where an assassination attempt occurred. Go ahead and play this video clip. Go for it, Rob.
Again, they're going to insinuate using that state of facts that there was like negligence in disclosing intel to Trump's team or his Secret Service or something like that it was an inside job.
This type of negligence, in my opinion, is not accidental. It's intentional. As you know, I am actually the chairman of the Declassification of Federal Secrets, and I've investigated one of the most famous assassinations in U.S. history. That's the JFK assassination. And in my opinion, the way that this was handled, not to mention, if you recall, I was actually able to directly interview the Secret Service director when she testified to Congress. And we had whistleblowers that came forward to Senator Hawley's office and stated that Secret Service never even met with local law enforcement. That angle in which the president was shot from was actually left, in my opinion, open. And this reeks of an inside job. I'm going to say it. I will tell you that they had plans for him to be dead, but God had other plans. And President Trump is blessed because of it.
Oh my God. God had other plans. That's why that firefighter was killed instead of Trump. We love him for his sacrifice.
By the way, if she gets to the bottom of this and finds out what's going on, some of the people may want to be pushing her to also give another project to her to get to the bottom of. It's a different project that people are curious about. Vinny, your thoughts on this here? Because apparently they suspended 6 agents over handling of Butler shooting, but they're still going through it. So what are your thoughts on this story?
So suspended 6 agents, and it's like another thing that bothers me is that the first thing was that Trump is giving the thumbs up to move on, and he's happy basically of how the investigation went up to this point. I don't know, Rob, they had something on the president. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm good. We can move on. And then you mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. Out of the 92 rallies that Donald Trump had done. 92, guys. The one time CNN was streaming live was that one, okay? And please save the coincidence. Yeah, they were just there. He was going to make an announcement. No. With that being done by CNN, and apparently there was photographers there that had these cameras with lenses that really slow down, which is not good for a live event, to catch. And by the way, there was one shot where you actually see the bullet stopped in midair. Piling that lead up with the failure, and the only thing that happened was what? Kim Cheadle. Once the left realized, oh shit, sorry for my language, Joe Biden.
No Justice MTG, thank you for the raid. Welcome, guys. We're watching PBD apparently discover that the Trump shooting was actually an inside job, even though these same people spent months denying that it was a Republican who did this.
Is not the guy. He's horrible. He's failing. The order was given. My question is, Pat, to all of you guys, who gives that type of order? Who gives the order to the head of the Secret Service that says, all right, guys, listen up. By the way, this is all...
What the fuck is Vinny talking about? Slow down cameras. I often ask myself what the hell Vinny is talking about when he's going off. In this case, I have zero clue what he could be referring to. Like slow motion, like lens... I don't even know.
I'm just saying if... They said, and
like what he went on to describe sounded like a camera that's suitable for getting like wide shots or something, not slow down, like a slow-mo video.
Guys, you know what? Biden's freaking failing horribly. Donald Trump looks like he's going to win. He's going to do all this. He's going to investigate. Let's take his ass out. Okay. Then the phone call's made and they go, okay, Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, everybody step down, have them looking the other way. By the way, he was flying a freaking drone. Nobody gave a shit. And when people were screaming, guy on the roof, everybody turned and nobody gave a damn. He was on the roof in the building where Secret Service was inside. Massive failure. Thank God, only the ear was hit. Now there's reports that there was allegedly a second shooter, which that's what I believe. I believe Thomas Crooks was put up there like the idiot, call it MK Ultra, call it whatever the hell you want, and there was another shooter that was on top of the freaking water tower. Because there's no way. It doesn't make sense. This guy had 6 cell phones. The father, they interviewed the father. They're all being protected. They cleaned his house with a freaking like a white glove service.
Best exposure is what bro's yapping about, which is normal for events like this to burst shoot for 1 million photos to pick from.
Nothing adds up.
Slow-mo cameras, smug. I think that's what you call that.
Just curious, who gives the order that says step Kim, Cheadle, all you guys, put the worst agents on here. Nobody's going to get in trouble. He's going to be dead. President Biden's going to be president. We're going to move on.
We know for a fact it's not Biden.
Oh, thank you. 1,000%.
We know for a fact it's not Biden.
It's not him.
If Biden
exonerated. He says, as if anybody serious was proposing that the Biden administration had anything to do with the Trump assassination. Biden, who said that we would go to war with Iran if they assassinated Trump when he was not even in office, just running for re-election in 2024. Yeah, that Joe Biden definitely tried to take Donald Trump out.
Didn't do all those pardons.
Yes.
And others used the auto pen to do it. We know for a fact
Autopen.
Biden wasn't responsive enough to be behind that issue.
That's great point. It's definitely not Biden. So at what? Because this is what I feel. Vincent O'Shea.
They've worked themselves into the position where they can't actually demand accountability from Biden for anything because he was just a senile old man.
Feels, and I'm pretty sure some of our viewers do too. The decision was made. We have to take him out. He's going to win. Period. You saw Joe Biden didn't know what the hell he was doing. We have to do. I'm just so curious of who makes that call. Who makes that call?
When you go back to the Kennedy assassination and
right, let's compare this to the Kennedy assassination.
You can step past all the speculation and you just look at how the Secret Service agents behave when the cars turn.
Yeah.
There was one agent, who called 2 guys off the back of the car.
Like, what do you
drop back? And the other 2 agents raised their arms like,
why? Yeah.
What are you doing here? And so we can see that. We see a few other things that happened in the Kennedy assassination. And so you don't have to have the CIA pull the trigger. You don't have to have the Secret Service pull the trigger. You can have the CIA and others control the Secret Service, which is what many people believed happened with JFK. So was there, was somewhere, nothing to see here. No, we get threats all the time, man. Don't worry about that. We get threats all the time. We're going to share data with the local yokels. That's what they call them. Local yokels is what they call the local police. And they said,
local yokels,
and we'll take care of it. And so I want to see a Warren Commission, not chaired by Alan Dulles. Yeah. I want to see a Warren type commission here to look at all of this, to look at the failures, to learn. And even if everything else is covered up, I want the failures to be identified so that all presidents, regardless of party, are safe in the future. And, there's so many things here that just, they kind of stink. They sanitized the roof and then they hosed it down.
They hosed it down
really
to the
quick.
crime scene.
They went to his house and took everything.
I hate when people say roof like rough.
What echoes in my head is when Ann Coulter talked about Diddy, and she said, when the police arrive really, really quick, and there's a whole lot of police and stuff, I'm paraphrasing. I don't want anybody to think I'm misquoting her. But she said, when the police are there, sometimes it's what they're taking, not what they're finding.
Wow.
They're there to remove some things and say, yeah, we got to...
Weird.
We have to do this. It's...
Earlier, they were chiding Doran Mamdani for not worshiping the cops and kissing the ass of the NYPD enough. And insisting that, and like trying to suggest that he was not in favor of domestic violence victims getting help or assistance from the state, just by saying, I don't know if cops are the most appropriate way to respond to a DV situation. Now they're saying that cops tamper with evidence at most scenes, and that they actually aren't there to help; they're there to confuse people.
It's Pulp Fiction, Harvey Keitel, the cleaner.
Yeah.
Did you see the new Wired article that says more footage was removed from the raw footage? I mean, I saw the one that dropped. Is there another one?
Cleaner.
Get me the wolf. We got to get the
Because it said that like it definitely has been edited, and they talked to somebody who is like a specialist in like evidentiary standards, and said it would not pass like a chain of custody test. But it's possible that the whatever edits they made in Adobe Premiere Pro were benign, and just like stitching together different clips, or converting a file format or an aspect ratio.
And I think that's what's going on here. There's so many things in Butler that stink, from the number of shots to the, the why don't we know anything about a kid? Oh, every kid needs 3 burner phones and to call international.
Yeah, international.
Adam, what are your thoughts on this? I got one last story I want to do.
Yeah. 1 year ago, the Butler shooting could have changed the course of American history. And
what shooting?
Thank God it did not. I remember you guys were in the Hamptons at that time. I think I was traveling, and I remember it was, oh my God, you see what's going on here? Oh my God. And that video got replayed over and over and over again. That was the moment, I officially remember this, where I was like, man, how can you not vote for this guy at this point?
I actually thought it was going to be a bigger deal going into the general, and it totally wasn't.
The stories about this guy, he's un-American, he's so sell himself out, he's a Russian asset. That was the moment. This guy got shot in the ear and gets up and starts yelling, fight, 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 ear bleeding. I said, that guy's got ultimate respect for me at this point. Don't forget, it was about a week earlier that Joe Biden had the biggest debacle on the debate stage ever. Yep. It was a week after that Joe Biden basically reluctantly dropped out of the race. It was a week after that they basically catapulted Kamala Harris to the top. Meanwhile, Trump was the most badass thing I've ever seen from a politician ever. Even Mark Zuckerberg, who's been a sort of a vocal Trump hater, was like, dude, that was freaking badass.
Whoa, even the Silicon Valley tech billionaire that wants to have a friendly relationship with the incoming administration simped for Donald Trump.
And thank God he made it through, because now we're seeing the first 6 months.
Reagan was cooler. I know. He's like ignoring that Reagan, like a sound went off after, and he was like, miss me.
Of quite possibly the greatest administration in our lifetime. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. I don't know. I'm not in on the conspiracy thing. I'm not in on the second shooter thing. That's not my lane. I try to live in reality. And the reality is this. Thank God Donald Trump is alive and doing what he's doing. And God bless.
So you don't, again, because Adam, there's nothing that you believe the government in any case all the time, no matter what.
That's not
there's
what I said
nothing.
Now he's doing the fucking thing that Adam expresses skepticism that this was some sort of like inside job or inside plot to take Trump out. And now he's saying, oh, so you're saying that there's no chance that that could have been the case.
I'm just saying, you said you don't believe in the conspiracy, but what I'm asking you is, let's go, like, do you think that there'd be any way that the government, the sitting government, would be like, you know what, we got to take this president out?
Trump did not actually get shot in the ear. Anyone who knows anything about ballistics would know that the ear would be gone if he actually got shot in it. I remember there was a statement from one of the agents suggesting that it could have been shrapnel that hit his ear, not that he was it ever actually grazed him, something like that.
The point that the JFK assassination, everybody was involved. The CIA was involved.
To answer your question, Vinny, yes, I could see that.
You can see what?
I could see nefarious people doing nefarious things behind closed doors.
Okay, so it's not a theory.
Yes,
it's just
but it doesn't
you never
consume
know.
my life
It's not
like it
consuming
does for other people.
This again?
When a story comes up, you act like people are sitting at home thinking about this shit. We're on a podcast, we talk about it, and average Americans live their life. But when something comes up, We address it. You automatically think I'm thinking about this shit all the time. He brought it up. It's a story. No, it's not.
That's cool.
Like Adam is he can't be, he's too much of a fucking pussy to just soy out and say you're an anti-Semite for caring about the Epstein conspiracies.
Talked about the assassination. He just
you're
brought
too
it up.
busy living in Epstein land. I get it.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm talking about this story. I'm saying the realpolitik, the pragmatic view is, thank God he didn't get shot in the face. Thank God there was that beautiful chart.
Thank God he made it. But my thing is, who was behind all the shit?
I don't know.
One last
neither
story.
do you.
Off-putting that in the middle of that contentious interaction between these two, he had to like shoehorn in like a very brief Trump impression. It's very weird.
One last story.
I want to find out.
I think what I want is I also want to know who the hell was behind it. I'm curious.
Yep.
Because if this would have gone in a different way, America would have had Biden or Kamala as president today. Imagine America with Kamala or Biden as president today. Holy moly. It would have been a very
Don't remind me, dude.
different America. Last story before we wrap up. News just came out.
All right. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not following me already, you should. That way you can know when I go live. Or you should subscribe to me. You can get access to an ad-free experience as well as cute emotes. And you can also gift subs throughout the chat so other people can have the same. If you're watching on YouTube, you should like the stream so it pushes it out to other people, and subscribe to me if you haven't already. And if you want to support me, you can follow the donation link pinned in my Twitch chat or my YouTube description box. And I'm at Straighterade or Straighterade_ and everything. I hate when people do the Trump impressions. Kid, you're just mad that you can't do it yourself, probably, right? What are we doing? Okay, I want to see this Ben Shapiro going off on Tucker for I don't know what it is. Like Ben Shapiro's onto him because Tucker has started flirting with open anti-Semitism and like JQing, and apparently he's gone too far by accusing the government of being tied to Jeffrey Epstein and like Trump, DOJ, like the Mossad.
There's Tucker Carlson. So Tucker took the stage at TPU.
What? Let's hear it. My Trump impression? I'm good at impressions, but I'm like, no one is missing anything by me not doing the Trump impression. I suck at the Trump impression.
And essentially, he made the same claim, but he didn't have the courage of his convictions because he's not willing to say what he's saying. Again, there are only two possibilities here. Either Pam Bondi screwed up the rollout of this particular case, and she oversold what was there, and then she had to walk it back, but she won't publicly walk it back. Or the president of the United States, the vice president of the United States, the head of the FBI, the deputy director of the FBI, and the head of the DOJ are all complicit in a child rape cover-up. Those are the only two choices. There is no third choice. Well, here is Tucker Carlson saying what Dave Smith is saying, but without the courage of his convictions to just say Trump is the one doing the covering it up. And I would love for him to say it publicly. Seriously, he knows the president. He's friendly with the president. He's obviously incredibly friendly with the vice president of the United States, for whom his son is press secretary. So anytime he wants, he could call up the administration and seek clarification on whether they are in fact covering up child rape.
I mean, this is true because Tucker Carlson literally Trump outed that Tucker had called him to apologize to him for going too hard on like Ted Cruz and on Israel and also like the Iran strikes.
I'd love to know whether he has done that, since he is very close with those people. But here's Tucker making the accusation without having balls to actually say it.
But the fact that the U.S. government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist, was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that.
Okay, so ask the president. So ask him. Seriously, you got his phone number. We know the president talks to Tucker. We know that J.D. Vance frequently talks to Tucker. Ask the question. Seriously. Do it. One of the things you'll notice about Tucker, he's very good at sort of speculating about problems without offering any solutions or trying to solve them. So if he really believes, when he says the U.S. government is covering up the conspiracy, who is the U.S. government at this point?
This was published yesterday. And I wonder if Ben ever addressed that Republicans put this to a vote. They had the ability to vote to release more of the Epstein files and declined to, and their only excuse was that it wasn't relevant to what they were doing.
Who's the U.S. government?
Or to the legislation they were passing.
Really, who is it? Name the people. When we're talking about Joe Biden, we can name the people. Jill, Hunter, Jake Sullivan, his domestic policy advisors. We can name the individuals. Not some sort of broad category of the U.S. government. If he wants to accuse Donald Trump of being complicit in a child rape gang cover-up, then he should just say his name. He should just do it. And why won't he? I think we all know the answer to why won't he. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, that not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot
This is why Ben's panties are in a twist, is because he feels that Tucker Carlson, on top of being anti-Semitic and like getting at the JQ shit is daring to speak ill of the fucking Mossad. Thank you for the bits, Clearwatch. It's me, aging millennial, new name, same bad jokes.
Speculation on the internet is without evidence. You say
Why is Mike Johnson now saying to release them? LOL. I don't know, because I think he knows that it's not going to happen, and it only looks good for him to virtue signal that it is, and it draws like the Republicans that are calling when asked and say, yeah, you should just release it, are getting far less attention than the ones that are being stupid and trying to cover it up or complaining like Donald Trump. They're just drawing more attention to it.
Mossad was running.
Like no one will hold him to account. No one will, if he flip flops on that, if he doesn't actually push it through, no one's going to care.
Evidence? I mean, without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, as a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed.
Well, if a former PM of Israel said something, then it must be true. To be clear, like, I don't know, like, I've never looked into the, like, Epstein Mossad connections or whatever, but you citing a former prime minister of that country, what is that supposed to do for anyone?
With the former prime minister, Naftali Bennett. And what he told me is the Mossad has not been active in the United States against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison for almost 30 years. And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad. But in any case, even if you don't believe Naftali Bennett, that's fine. The United States government says this isn't true. Okay, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel.
But even if they had, Ted Cruz would defend it. Because according to Ted Cruz, we spy on them, so who cares? Why can't they spy on us?
And J.D. Vance and the President of the United States say this is not true. But Tucker is going to throw it out there as though he knows something. And so all I would ask is, okay, if you're so certain, show me the evidence. I'm asking him the same thing that I'm asking Pam Bondi. Show me the evidence or lack thereof. Right? That's how you answer questions. If you're going to ask a question, you have to demand an answer to that question. Otherwise, you're not asking a question. You're positing a theory without any evidence and calling it a question because you stick a question mark at the end of it. Did you rape your dog? Did you rape your family dog? And then no matter what anyone says, well, you probably did. You know what? I know you did. I know 100% you did. And that's not just asking questions. That would be positing a theory, a specious and terrible theory without evidence.
It's such an L for him to go into yes, how just asking questions works and to get this worked up over it.
Tucker doing just that.
And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying. There's nothing even
Maybe when I'm definitely not saying something anti-Semitic or hateful. I definitely have to add a bunch of caveats that you guys, I'm not an anti-Semite or hateful.
Israel about saying that.
Okay, well, I mean, if you have evidence, that's true. If you have no evidence and you're just throwing that out there, then it starts to look at the very least non-journalistic and not truth-bearing. He continued to double down on this, of course. And again, remember, in the end, this is not really about Mossad. In the end, what this is really about for Tucker Carlson is who's covering it up. And it wasn't Israel that was prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein's an American citizen. It was the United States government that was prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein. So again, if Tucker would just like to say that the Trump...
Actually, now I'm wondering if Ben Shapiro is more offended that he's talking shit about Trump or implying something, implying the same thing that Musk did, that like, oh, he's in the files. That's why he's upset, or he's upset about the anti-Semitism memes.
Administration is actively covering up a sex grooming ring, a child sex trafficking ring on behalf of a foreign government. Why doesn't he say President Trump's name or J.D. Vance's name or Kash Patel's name or Dan Bongino's name or Pam Bondi's name? He knows all those names. He knows all those people. Here he was with Charlie Kirk on stage.
The real scandal here is who he was working for and where the money came from. That's the actual scandal. And no one will say anything about it because
grown men should never say naughty. Don't you remember? Where's that clip of him going, oh my God. This. He like said this weird shit about like Trump's gonna like spank you.
And the second reason you can't allow it is very familiar to anyone who has children, which is if you allow it, you will encourage more of it. If you allow people to get away with things that are completely over the top and outrageous, if you allow your 2-year-old to smear the contents of his diapers on the wall of your living room, and you do nothing about it, if you allow your 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table, if you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to, like, slam the door of her bedroom and give
Didn't
you
remember the 14-year-old lighting a blunt at breakfast? I bet if you're a stoner, that probably sounds pretty good.
finger, you're going to get more of it. And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home. Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did.
This is a thing he voluntarily said on a stage to a thunderous applause and cheers.
That's not said in the spirit of hate. It's not said in the spirit of vengeance or bigotry.
Very polarizing. Really gross. This is just sick as hell. This is so dope. Oh no, it got worse.
Far from it. It's said in the spirit of justice, which is the purest and best thing there is. And without it, things fall apart. The Democratic Party machine, and notice I'm not beating up on Kamala Harris, who's just a hapless victim who happened to be there in the right colors, so they grabbed her. Tim Walz, they needed some, whatever Tim Walz.
Whatever Tim Walz needs. And I just noticed that was also at like a TPUSA. He does all the bangers at the TPUSA conferences.
Was it American intelligence?
No,
was it Saudi intelligence?
Imagine getting on the biggest stage and saying every single thing you think out loud with absolutely no filter. He's an American hero. He's just a Republican.
Was it British intelligence?
It was Israeli intelligence. And everyone's embarrassed to say that because you're not allowed to say that or something.
Not gonna lie, he's a great propagandist, one of the best. Jamie is a Nazi. I thought he was a white nationalist. I guess those are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
Because you're a hater, but you're not a hater at all.
Not a hater at all when you just throw out theories without any evidence whatsoever. And by the way, again, avoiding the chief point, which is, let's assume that Tucker's right. Let's assume that it was Mossad. Okay, that means the United States government is complicit on behalf of Mossad in a child rape scandal. Who is the United States government? Donald J. Trump. So, Tucker, just say it. Just say it. Weird you won't. Strange. Almost cowardly, actually. And then you double down again with another.
It's so whiny from Ben. Why won't you get yourself caught up in like a defamation or like slander lawsuit?
TPUSA personality named Alex Clark.
Do you agree with Candace Owens that the reason we are not going to see the client list is because Israel is implicated?
Israel is implicated. I'm just going to say that. I mean, the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, lived at Epstein's townhouse on and off for years. And so, absolutely.
What's wrong with that? What? Tucker, you've never had a sleepover with your boys?
Okay, so the fact that Ehud Barak, who is a complete scuzzbag, Ehud Barak is terrible. He's awful. The fact that he was involved.
No one left this, Ehud Barak.
With Epstein, no more implicates Mossad than the fact that a huge number of prominent people in the United States were involved with Epstein implicates the CIA or President Trump. President Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein. So if you want to make that claim, just make it. But I noticed again, you're not. This, of course, culminated in Tucker suggesting that I don't even want to ask the questions. Again, I'm fine with whatever questions you want to ask as long as you demand actual evidence for the answers. If you ask a question and then any evidence provided is dismissed in favor of your favorite pet theory, you're not seeking answers. You are positing a theory. That's all.
Anybody who asks obvious questions like, hey, were you running a sexual blackmail scheme in my country? Shut up, says Ben Shapiro. You're an anti-Semite. Well, no, I'm not. Why is it not a fair question? There's tons of evidence this is happening.
It's so insane that they are obviously well-versed in how right-wing media and propaganda works, and they're completely ill-equipped to be able to dismantle any of it in a persuasive fashion. Ben is intentionally leaving out details. It's not just Pam who said there was a list. Cash, Donald, Elon, Trump's lawyer all said there was a list. It's not just Pam. Even Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles aren't buying this, LMAO. Yeah, now I'm sure Israel is involved. Great job, Ben.
Like, are you joking? You're not going to shout me down, by the way.
Fighting anti-Semitism one like terrible whiny breakdown video at a time.
At this
An
point,
anti-Israel bias.
I spent 4 years being shouted down by the left for asking, I thought, pretty reasonable questions.
Ben Shapiro, in response to him, again, like just doing the JQ, just asking questions, jacking off, thought it would be a good idea to do a 27-minute response video debunking it while he's angry.
I have always felt very moderate. I'm not a hater at all, and I'm not going to become one. And I don't think my questions are insane. They may be stupid, but if they're stupid, then just speak slowly so I can understand as you answer them. Okay, here it is, slowly. If you are asking a question, but demanding no answer to that question, and any evidence that contradicts your pet theory is dismissed, you are not asking a question. You are positing a theory of your own, but don't have the balls to say the thing you want to say, which is that Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, is in fact covering up a child rape ring. That's as slowly as
far as I know, based on what I saw on his channel, Ben Shapiro, and I saw a clip on Twitter as well, Ben Shapiro went through the entire FBI docket that was released like last week and was like, yeah, I like accept this 100%. He had like no skepticism of it.
I've ever talked on the show, and slower than I will ever talk again. That is the thing that I am saying. And by the way, I've never called Tucker Carlson an anti-Semite. I actually haven't. Go back, look through the record. It's never a thing that's happened. He's throwing that out there.
And he's never implied that Donald Trump, or actually, he's never actually called Donald Trump somebody who is covering up for a sex trafficking ring.
It's a red herring to the fact that he is saying things that he does not have the capacity to back up, period. And this is all part, again, of a sort of broader demoralization effort that is happening on parts of the right.
Now I actually think Ben is kind of a cock for not calling him out for the anti-Semitism and trying to be like, it's not about that.
President Trump is right about this. When President Trump says there have been an enormous number of wins under his administration, that is true. There are an enormous number of wins under President Trump's administration. That's just a fact. But there are a number of people, particularly Tucker, who make a living off of suggesting that there is nothing whatsoever that you can do to actually fix the country, fix your life, or make things better. When it comes to getting things done quickly, we've all learned not.
Okay.
Is the smartest way to hire. So here's Tucker Carlson suggesting that President Trump's wins on Title IX, defending girls from boys in sports, and shutting down the transing of the kids on a federal level. Here's Tucker suggesting that that's totally meaningless. And then moving on to a series of problems for, again, which he will not name an actual solution because he's not interested in solutions. He's interested only in running down the United States, most prominently, including even when President Trump is the president of the United States.
If you deny people what they actually want long enough and instead substitute things that you claim they should want, like bombing Iran, I'm not for Iran, where you spend all day telling me that it's so important that, boys not playing girls' soccer teams, whatever. I agree. I hate the tranny stuff passionately. I think you should keep the boys off girls' soccer teams.
Chill, Tucker, please.
But I don't know. It kind of feels like you're feeding me appetizers. At some point, I want to look around and see a better country.
It's like funny to laugh at these clowns and then they let stuff like that slip and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot like for like 2 seconds what you are.
I want to see a country I recognize. I don't want to see people sleeping on the sidewalk. I don't see people ODing on drugs. I want to know where those drugs coming from. Why can't you stop it? You've got the U.S. military. Don't you have SEAL Team 6? Like, what are they doing today? Don't you have Delta Force? You could give me another segment about how impressive the U.S. military is? I believe you. Why aren't they employed to make my country better? Why are my cities disgusting? I don't want to go there. It smells like weed and halal food. And you're lecturing me about how it's a great moral victory that I kicked the...
I had heard that he had made this comment. I didn't realize it was in the context of this.
Boys off the girls' soccer team. Good, I'm so glad. But let's do the real stuff, like making...
He's an equal opportunity bigot coming for Jews and Muslims.
Livable.
Okay, so we can stop there. What is the real stuff he's talking about? Seriously, what is the real stuff? And who's the president of the United States whose name he will not mention? For some reason, he treats the president of the United States. He sort of treats him.
Ben Shapiro, we're just going to skip over the like a racist remark there against Muslims.
As though he is Voldemort. If you say his name, he will appear. But all the things he's saying right here are condemning the president of the United States. Let's just be very clear about this. When he says that people are being distracted by bombing Iran, who's the one who bombed Iran? The president of the United States. When he says it's a distraction to get the boys out of the girls' sports, which is not a distraction, it's a major issue in the United States that
affects no less than 30 people. How dare you?
Ended the trans threat to truth and reality. When he says that, who did that? That was Donald J. Trump. And then he says he's feeding appetizers. But he wants a country, he says, where people aren't sleeping on the sidewalks, which, by the way, is typically a local and state issue, where people aren't ODing on drugs. And then he says Why can't you stop it? You've got the U.S. military.
So he's not saying it doesn't happen. He's just saying it's a local issue.
Don't you have SEAL Team 6? I have a question. Is Tucker in favor of using SEAL Team 6 to go after the Mexican drug cartels? I kind of am. So I would love to know.
I mean, didn't he support Ron DeSantis? Ron DeSantis literally got up on the debate stage for the Republican presidential nominee in 2023 and was saying on day one he would invade Mexico to get at the drug cartels.
If Tucker is in favor of an interventionist conflict in Mexico in order to take out the Mexican drug cartels. Really? Like, is he? If so, he should probably spell it out. But notice there's never a solution. He doesn't even have anybody on to discuss these problems on his show. He will never talk about how to solve the problems. This is why I say it's about demoralization. It's about making you feel about the country. Because there is never a solution emerging from Tucker Carlson. I'll give this to Zoran Mamdani, who I think is one of the worst people in American political history. His solutions are absolute trash garbage. But at least he's offering some. Tucker goes out there and doesn't offer any solutions at all.
You gotta hand it to Zoran, even Ben Shapiro.
Instead,
our boy.
Tucker goes out there and posits that everything is wrong in the world. Every victory is, in fact, an appetizer or a loss.
Dude, Zoran just can't stop fucking winning. Even these ghouls have to give him his flowers for some things. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, even though it's for disingenuous reasons, we're already like, he's America first. The Flagrant Boys were saying he's interested in providing solutions. He seems to be fucking America first to me. And he's saying, when they asked him, like, what's your first trip going to be if you become mayor of New York City? He was like, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to Israel. He was like the only candidate on the stage to say, I'm just going to stay here and focus on the city. Yeah.
In fact, he says, elites are using...
trigonometry. That's the other one that I was thinking of. Konstantin Kissin, I think that's how you say his name, also made a video called, like, why are so many young people embracing socialism? And he was talking about how Zoran Mamdani's campaign reached out to people that were economically, disaffected. And then he didn't even provide, like, a conservative alternative. I was like, okay, this is true. Yeah. That's how I got people on board.
It's a distraction while they steal our money. I have a question. Who bombed Iran? Why don't you say his name? Say it. I dare you. I triple dog dare you. The president of the United States is the one who pulled the trigger on the Iran attack, the most successful single foreign policy move of my lifetime. Tucker Carlson said it would lead to World War III, catastrophic loss of American life. All of that was absolutely wrong. And not just wrong, but yes, dumb, because it was based in specious information.
Not just wrong, but dumb.
But he won't say the president's name. Here we go.
How about just a middle-class life? Can they, like, get married young, as I did, and, like, have 4 kids and, take a couple jobs, work hard and all that stuff? But in the end, it's like, fine. Can they do that? Or is that, like, so remote a possibility that you need to tell me that Iran is the real threat to take my mind off the fact that you stole all the money and screwed up my country beyond recognition?
Oh, stole all your money and screwed up. Iran is it? Who is he talking about there? The president of the United States is the one who authorized the strike on Iran. Did he steal your money and screw up your country beyond recognition? Who was it exactly? He uses a lot of they language, I noticed, without specifying who it is that we are talking about here, Tucker Carlson. And can we be real about the economics for a second? The reason that the middle class has declined in the United States is because the upper
Didn't he marry an heiress? Somebody said earlier that Tucker Carlson is an heir to, like, a frozen food fortune, so maybe.
Middle class has grown by leaps and bounds. That is the actual reality.
What is this pedantic bitch stuff? This is exposing Ben Shapiro's audience to how he sounds like to anybody who isn't already in 100% agreement with him.
Share of adults who live in middle-class households has
he turned what has literally been like maybe 5 minutes of clips, if that, of Tucker Carlson speaking into 27 minutes of ranting.
Changed. The share of adults who live in upper-income households has picked that up. That is the reality of change in economics over time in the United States. In the United States, in 1970, according to the Census Bureau, 43% of Americans were in the top 20% by income group. 42% were in the middle 40 by income group. By 2013, 51% of Americans were in the top 20%, 37% were in the middle 40%, and only 12% were in the bottom 40% in terms of income. So, in other words, this idea that the middle class can't get ahead, and when Tucker Carlson does this, I'm just standing up for the poor middle class routine. I would just like to point out that Tucker Carlson grew up...
Ben Shapiro would just like to point out that everything's fine. You're hallucinating any sort of economic anxiety that you feel. Your life is great. Stop complaining.
Silver spoon. Whenever he talks about, will his kids be able to grow up in America? Well, I mean, his son is the press secretary for the vice president of the United States, so I feel like his kids are going to be okay. The running down of America, while the party that he supposedly backs is in power, doing things that conservatives like, is pretty astonishing, actually. Tucker would then go on to just mirror the language of Alexander Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of the Democratic Socialists of America.
Tucker would then go on to look and act like noted socialist, according to Ben Shapiro, AOC.
Bill Ackman, who he says was in league with Jeffrey Epstein now.
How do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires? How's that legitimate? And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, well, yeah, sounds like you're a socialist. Sounds like socialism. Yeah, okay, I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot. Now I'm a socialist. All right. Leaving aside my committed socialism, can you answer the question? How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy? I know Bill Ackman. No.
Okay, so first of all,
That's some trust fund kid on trust fund kid violence right there.
Carlson's judgment as to who's an impressive guy seems flawed, considering that he believes Vladimir Putin, the prime minister of Qatar, and the president of Iran seem to all be very impressive guys, at least in his estimation. Tucker Carlson, when he says, I'm not a socialist, and he sort of just dismisses that out of hand. Okay, that's fine. I'm not calling you a socialist. I'm just saying that the things you are saying line up perfectly with Alexander Ocasio-Cortez.
And he's not saying that Trump is covering up for a sex trafficking ring. He's just saying it's mysterious that the administration and the powers that be refuse to release the files.
That Bill Ackman made his money.
Look at how it says Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, one word.
Through investment. In fact, Bill Ackman put out a long thread yesterday explaining precisely how he made his money. By the way, I love when Tucker says things like, well, he has no actual skill set.
You don't get to be skeptical of how a billionaire made his ill-gotten gains. He's said before. He's made statements. You can just read them, sweaty.
Let's be real about this. Tucker's in the same business that I'm in. Hey, Tucker has a skill set. Tucker's skill set is that he's incredibly articulate, he's quite brilliant, and he knows precisely what he is doing in order to get an audience.
Like Tucker Carlson, I am also a failed Hollywood star wannabe.
And that's a skill set, and he has monetized.
I assume Tucker Carlson tried to do some stuff like that, right?
Skill set. How many jobs has Tucker Carlson created? I would wager to say significantly fewer than Bill Ackman in the United States. Why? Because Bill Ackman has created enormous amounts of economic activity through investment. So Bill
Ackman's a job creator. So true, King.
Post yesterday, Bill Ackman did, responding to Tucker, quote.
Yeah, that's what it is. He tried CIA and failed. He couldn't get into it. Couldn't break
Carlson went on a rant yesterday at TPUSA and suggested that I was in Jeffrey Epstein's constellation of people who have been getting away with scams. His evidence is that the most useless people have no actual skills becoming billionaires. He referred to me as an example of one of the most useless billionaires in Jeffrey Epstein's constellation. In order to address Tucker's defamatory statement,
CIA is a lot like failed acting in a way. Very true.
I thought it would be useful to share a few facts. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, flew on his planes, went to any of his parties and or properties, or interacted with him ever. When my wife was a professor at MIT, she received a $125,000 grant from Epstein prior to my knowing of her existence. She met Epstein once for 45 minutes at the request of the head of the MIT Media Lab, made a presentation.
Hello, silly serious. Sadly, I too have fallen into the least prestigious failed Hollywood career. But have you managed to parlay that into a position at the welfare institution that is the failing Daily Wire, who will give a job to literally any young, attractive person that's willing to repeat PragerU talking points?
About her work and later got a grant. That was the last time she ever met or spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. If this is why Tucker thinks I am in Jeffrey Epstein's constellation, it's clear he doesn't know anything about astronomy.
Tucker describing how he was attacked by a demon in bed was interesting. Yeah, and he said it couldn't have been his dogs because his dogs are light sleepers, which literally leads me to believe the opposite. And the demon gave him like scratches. And he sleeps with 3 dogs in his bed alongside his wife.
With respect to how I generated a net worth of more than $9 billion, I share the following. I inherited good genes from wonderful parents who instilled good values in me. I never received an allowance, so I worked odd jobs washing and waxing cars, digging dishes, lawn and tree care, etc. for pocket money beginning when I was about 10. My parents gave me a huge head start by paying for my education, including college and business school. I paid for my housing and expenses, and they paid for my tuition. I worked through college selling
Not yet. Have to give myself space to grow.
Advertising for the Let's Go Harvard student travel guides. I learned a lot about sales working in the basement of a dorm, smiling and dialing small hostels, hotels, and car rental companies around the world selling ads to strangers. After college, says Bill Ackman, I went to work for my dad's real estate mortgage brokerage company. I received a $40,000 draw and generated more than $600,000 in commissions in 18 months.
This is literally the Donald Trump, my father gave me a small loan of $500,000. I'm a self-starter.
Making me one of the largest, if not the largest producer during my short term there. I received only 15% of the commissions I generated, which contributed to my choosing to pursue an alternative career as an investor, and went to business school to learn more about investing.
All he was doing was describing sleep paralysis. No, sorry. I think he was describing demonic intervention and an interaction with the supernatural. Thank you very much.
When I graduated from business school, my parents gave me $100,000 in a settler trust. My dad said I would never inherit anything more as he wanted me to make it on my own. The funds never left the trust, and I don't include them in
Why would Ben Shapiro do this segment? He's like glowing the entire time.
My good economic fortune comes largely
That's how he's going to come off to this audience. I don't even know why he did this.
Investing over the long term and building a successful investment business. And then he goes on to talk about how exactly he did this and how he launched Pershing Square due to backing from Joe Steinberg and Ian Cumming of Leucadia National Corporation, which in 2013 merged with another company. And he talks about how he met him and how he invests. And he says, my net worth today comes from three principal assets. One, my initial investment in the Pershing Square funds has increased 56 times since Pershing Square's inception due to compounding. I also increased my investment in the Pershing Square funds over time by reinvesting incentive fees net of taxes that I earned from our investors.
This is such bitch-made behavior. Like this multimillionaire, Ben Shapiro, reading the press release statement from Bill Ackman to defend his honor that he made his money as a billionaire in a way that was legitimate or that you should respect.
In 2017, during a rough patch, I doubled down by borrowing $300 million and investing more. My investment in the Pershing Square funds today is worth about $2.5 billion. Two, the management company, which employs me and the rest of Pershing Square.
I wonder if this is some pitch to like funders or something like that, because I know Daily Wire is struggling to, that's why I said the failing Daily Wire is because they had to fire the Boring CEO guy, Jeremy Boring, I can't think of his name or whatever. They were trying to solicit more investors for the company.
Become a very profitable business over time. I started Pershing Square with de minimis capital. We sold a 10%.
He's just highlighting how much of a head start he had.
Interest in the business last year to strategic investors at a $9.5 billion pre-money valuation. I own about half of Pershing Square Management Company, the value of which grows as we compound the value of the funds we manage. My interest in Pershing Square Management Company is worth about $6.5 billion today. He says, while Tucker may believe investment management is a useless activity, I expect our investors would say otherwise. Pershing Square has generated one of the best investment track records of any investment firm over the last 21 and a half years, generating 2.9 times the return of the S&P 500 over the same period net of all fees and expenses. We've been an active and engaged investor since we launched and have played a major role in turning around poorly managed, troubled, and or bankrupt companies, with Canadian Pacific, Chipotle, and General Growth being good examples of this activity.
Canadian Pacific, Chipotle.
Okay, so, again, pretty amazing stuff. You know,
that was so inspiring. I'm sure a lot of people were very touched when they heard this statement from Ben.
Seems so overwhelmingly unhappy with the United States.
Daily Wire wasted a lot of money trying to make a Game of Thrones type show in Hungary. Yeah, we watched a video from Jose that talked about this, and they didn't even end up releasing it, is my understanding.
As run by Donald J. Trump and his administration.
But they were trying to venture out too much into like Daily Wire Kids. They started doing all of these different media projects, like the Lady Ballers movies and stuff, but they don't have an audience for it. They're boring. And it's incredibly expensive. They were even like the kids thing. That's like, why would you show your kids like a shittier version of Paw Patrol when you can just show them Paw Patrol?
Is pretty astonishing. Of course, the animus doesn't stop there. He also went after
Epstein's not a sugar daddy. My daddy's my sugar daddy.
For Fox News, suggesting that Fox News is anti-Christian, which again is a very, very wild contention that Fox News is anti-Christian. Fox News literally will pray in the name of Jesus on the air.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson apparently also said this at TPUSA, that they're like anti-Christian. Maybe he's gonna, if he plays the clip, I'm gonna be mad at myself, but let's see.
This
it goes right to it. Are you fucking kidding me? Let's see. Carlson repeatedly emphasized in his reply that Fox News is also nice to him and he harbors no ill will. Oh, wait. He said Tucker Carlson said, of course, his former employees at Fox News are anti-Christian in a podcast interview. When you told your wife, my career is changing after 14 years, what was her initial reaction? Clark asked Carlson to open the topic. Carlson repeatedly emphasized in his reply that Fox News is also nice to him and he harbors no ill will towards the network or CEO Suzanne Scott. But in his story stated matter-of-factly that the network is anti-Christian. Carlson explained that his wife's initial reaction to the news he was out of Fox News was, thank God. And Clark was shocked. No way, she said. Why'd she say that, you think? She thought they were really anti-Christian. Clark asked if Carlson agrees with that assessment. He said, oh, of course. Yeah. Why do you say that? It just makes them uncomfortable. They're not comfortable with that at all. He gave an example of a hypothetical scenario in which one might ask what Christians on the West Bank think about Israeli occupation, saying that as a Christian, I think it's totally fair to ask the question. He then suggested that if one were to do so, they'd be out of there at Fox News. Clark explained, really? In disbelief, to which Carlson again replied, of course. Simulating stuff.
Apparently, according to Tucker, they're anti-Christian. Why? Well, we'll let him tell another TP USA personality.
Fucking kill me, dude.
She thought they were really anti-Christian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Why do you say that?
It just makes them uncomfortable. They're not comfortable with that at all. If you said on Fox, which I don't.
Lost Zoe, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Dark Wizard Rix. So please enjoy that.
I don't think I ever did. I probably should have. But like, hey, how are the Christians of the West Bank doing? Like, how's Bethlehem doing, where Jesus was born? The Church in the Nativity. It's got to be That's not the most sacred site in Christendom. I'm not sure what is. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. It's the church of
He's
the
talking about like the Bedouin. If he were a real one, he would actually bring up that like the Iron Dome doesn't actually extend to those parts of Israel.
Let's call the rector of the Church of the Nativity and ask him what he thinks of Israeli occupation. Just as a Christian, I think it's totally fair. Whoa. I mean, you'd be out of there.
Okay, so notice that the example that he uses as to Fox being anti-Christian is actually him being anti-Israel. Okay, maybe the reason that Fox was not happy with Tucker, if Tucker would have tried to do that, is because what Tucker means by that is that he would have called up the Reverend Dr. Munther Isaac, who actually had on his show a few months back, I think last year, and allowed him to just spout nonsense about the Israeli occupation. Okay, Dr. Munther Isaac, who was on Tucker's show and who didn't fact check for one single solitary second, operates within the Palestinian Authority and in coordination with the Palestinian Authority, the terrorist group that governs the West Bank that he's talking about, and that governs Bethlehem.
That terrorist group is pretty much an Israeli subcontractor and does all of their dirty work.
That particular person portrays Jesus as, quote, a Palestinian under occupation. He refers to Israel as an apartheid state. He holds a Christ at the checkpoint
He accurately describes Israel. How dare he?
Conference, routinely featuring speakers who refer to Israel as illegitimate. Okay, none of this has to do with Christianity. He had nothing to say of substance about October
Weird, I haven't even spoken there.
7th, and said, quote, the biblical basis for Christian Zionism is as strong as the biblical basis for justifying, defending, and endorsing a genocide. It is this simple about Christian Zionism. Again, I'm using Munther Isaac as the example of what Tucker's talking about, since Tucker had him on his program. At no point was it mentioned in that interview that Bethlehem was a majority Christian city in the early 20th century, and then as Muslim Arabs crowded in, it was reduced to a small minority. Nor is it mentioned in that interview. In April and May of 2002, during the Second Intifada, Palestinian Authority linked terrorists, including Fatah terrorists, used...
Can you believe that Tucker Carlson, who is obviously an anti-Semite, doesn't actually give a shit about any of this principally, did not actually go into the entire history of the Israel-Palestine conflict when making that off-the-cuff remark on an interview, talking shit about Fox News? No way.
The Church of the Nativity as a refuge after committing a full-scale terrorist attack and fired shots from it at Israeli troops. At no point does Tucker talk about any of that. He's never talked about the fact that Hamas imposed strict Sharia law in the Gaza Strip, reducing the Christian population to effectively near zero. He's never mentioned the fact that land seizures by Muslims in Bethlehem are actually quite common, and that in interpersonal disputes, the PA actually, well, supposedly being a secular law body, imposes Sharia law in many interpersonal disputes.
It's actually the Palestinians that do the majority of the swiping of the land. I know you thought it was those violent Israeli settlers that are extremists and backed and funded by the IDF and the Israeli government, but it's actually the Palestinians.
Delegitimizing Christians. Again, maybe that's... But the idea that Fox News is anti-Christian is such an absurdity on its face. But again, in the end, what is all of this about? What is all this about? Well, I don't know what the motive is. I'm not going to attribute motives. What I am going to say is it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing. Every Trump victory is apparently nothing. Not only that, perhaps Trump is engaging in a sex ring cover-up, but he won't say it. So here's my final point about the Epstein of it. As I've said at this point, maybe 1,000 times, Pam Bondi should do a full-scale press conference revealing everything she knew, everything she doesn't know, when she knew it, what the evidence is.
So gross what Ben says, especially regarding up Christians who are pushed out of Hawaii. He also acted like Bethlehem is, I'm 99% sure, is occupied Palestinian territory. It's not Israeli territory. I could be wrong, though.
Transparency is good. Baseless conspiracy theorizing based on no evidence, said with great certainty, is not in fact a question. It is a theory you are positing. And if you refuse to have that theory falsified in every way, it's not a theory anymore. It's a religious belief. Beyond that, if you're going to accuse the Trump
administration... Someone needs to update that meme of him being like shoved into a locker, explaining the difference between like negative and positive liberties or whatever, and just replace it with this audio.
Of an active cover-up,
it's much more whiny.
A child rape ring, you should just say it. Honestly, if you're going to be... Again, I will name check Dave Smith because he was brave enough to just say it. If Tucker believes the same thing as Dave Smith, he should just say it as well.
Why are you talking about Dave Smith?
He's not telling the truth to his audience.
Rent-free.
The ball. Well, that's all for now, folks.
Thank you, Ben. Okay. All right. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not subscribed to me, what are you doing? You should be subscribed to me and get access to an ad-free experience. You can also gift subs in chat to give other people the same, or follow me if you aren't already so you can know when I go live. If you're watching on YouTube, you should like the stream if you haven't already and subscribe to me. And I'm at Straighterade or Straighterade_ on everything. And if you want to support me, you can follow the donation link pinned in my Twitch chat or in my YouTube description box. I'm going to be heading off for now, but I will be back in like an hour and a half because Pisco and I have another episode of Just Press Play tonight, and we will be going over yet another episode of Her Take. It's going to be good times, good memes. But in the meantime, I am sending you guys to... Let's see. Who's online right now? Let's see. Oh, Left Reckoning. Hell yeah, call Bisco a bitch again, please. I got that covered, don't you worry. Alright. Sending you guys to a Left Reckoning. I'll see everyone soon. Have fun. Bye.
It's some, bigwigs